Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei becomes the strongest Red Dragon Emperor Part 1. Chapter 1. Friendly Encounter. Issei's POV. Wow. It's unbelievable how colorful the world can be if everyone was so nice. I wanna live here forever. All of a sudden, a very loud alarm clock woke me up from the dream I was having. I looked at the digital alarm clock and it read 7:30 AM. I turned off my alarm clock and then walked over to my window. When I opened it, I was met with the beautiful sun shining in my face. Well, time to get ready for school, I said cheerfully. Time skip. I finished getting my stuff ready and then my breakfast. I had eggs, toast, bacon and some juice to wash it all down. I noticed that I was gonna be late, so I immediately made a dash for the door once I grabbed my backpack. Have a good day, Issei Hyoudou waved goodbye to Issei as he ran out the door. Be safe, Guru Hyoudou yelled. I will. Issei yelled as he waved back. Time skip. I finally made it to Cow Academy. This school used to be an all-girls school, but for some reason, they changed it, so now it's co-ed. I guess the only thing that's left to complain about is there are a lot of perverts that go to this school. However, I feel like there's good in everybody on earth. You could call it cliché, but it's what I believe in. As soon as I stepped into the school, I noticed that the halls were empty, which only meant that I was late to my class. As I was about to run to my class, I was greeted by the student council president. Oh. Good morning, Sona-senpai. I smiled. Good morning, Hyoudou-kun. You do realize that you are 10 minutes late, right? Sona questioned. Sorry. I was having a really good dream that I didn't want to wake up from. I explained. Sona sighed. I will let you off this time. Make sure it doesn't happen again. Got it? Sona warned. Got it? Well, I'm off to class. See you, Sona-senpai. I waved as ran off to my class. Sona's POV. I watched as he ran off to his class, then I made my way back to the student council office. How does he always manage to smile like that? Anybody in the supernatural world would give up their life to be as happy as Hyoudou is. He just always has a reason to smile. I hope it never changes for him. Thinking about him? Tsubaki Shinra questioned the student council president as she sat there indulging in her thoughts. Yeah. I don't know why, but just seeing how happy he is just makes me happy. You know? Yes, he greets everyone like they're his family. He tries to make everyone around him feel the same energy he's feeling. Tsubaki replied. Time skip. Issei's POV. Finally, classes were over and it's lunchtime. I decided to stop by the student council office because I wanted to see what it looked like on the inside. Hyoudou-kun. What are you doing here? Sona asked in a serious tone of voice. Oh, nothing really, I just wanted to look around. Oh, Sona, you play chess? I asked. Yes, I do. It's one of my favorite games. Sona replied back with a smile. You want to play one match of chess? I asked. Sona agreed to play with me. However, her face was telling me that she had complete confidence in her skills. I was good at the game myself and it's been a while since I've played against someone who is skilled. So this was a good way to test my skills. Time skip. I had Sona's king trapped on a corner. I have taken out almost all of her pieces. Sona was shocked to say the least. I had right where I wanted her. Come on, Sona. Make a move. I taunted as Sona as she had a sad look on her face. She knew that no matter what move she made, she was going to lose. Nonetheless, she made her move. I then took my knight and moved it 2 squares in front of her king and ended the game with me saying checkmate, Sona. I win. Everyone in the student council office was shocked that I had won. Good game, Sona. Let's play again another time. I said as I left the room. Sona sighed. Hyoudou-kun. If only you knew. After I finished my chess match with Sona, I decided it was time for me to eat. I went over to my favorite spot to eat and as I was about to start eating, I spotted a beautiful redhead looking towards me. Hi, Rias-senpai. I waved at Rias. Rias waved back at me while smiling. Rias POV. Rias. Who are you waving to down there? Oh, I'm just saying hi to Issei-kun. It's lunch period and usually sits next to that tree all the time. I said. I can feel that power coming from him, can't you, Rias? Akeno started. Yeah. I'll get Kaneko to keep an eye on him. I stated. I can feel that energy coming from him. Something lies within him and it holds great power, probably enough to destroy the entire supernatural world. Oh. What's he doing? Issei's POV. I planned to just have a peaceful lunch, but there are 2 little perverts trying to use lunch as an excuse to peep on the kendo club. Mitsuda and Motohama. Honestly, I wish these 2 would just stop. What did the poor girls ever do to them? Hey, you 2. What are you doing? I hope you're not peeping on the kendo club again. I said, trying to get them to stop. Maybe a suspension wasn't enough for you. Perhaps you both need to be expelled. I followed up. No. Please, we will stop peeping, just please don't tell Sona-senpai. They said, pleading on their knees. You should probably tell that to the entire kendo club behind you. I pointed behind them. Good luck. I gave them a thumbs up while walking away as the entire kendo club was about to beat them up. As I ran back to my spot, I looked back up at Rias with a smile on her face. But just by looking I could tell that the smile she had was a forced smile. Hey Rias-senpai, what's wrong? You look sad. I asked. Oh, and nothing, Issei-kun. Please don't mind me and go back to eating your lunch period is almost up. Rias replied. Oh yeah, you're right. I was too busy dealing with those perverts that I forgot about my stomach. Rias laughed at my comment. See Rias-senpai, doesn't it feel good to laugh? I asked. Yeah. I guess you're right. You should probably start eating now. Rias pointed out. You're right. Well, see you later Rias-senpai. I concluded our conversation. Rias POV. Not only might he be powerful, but he's also super friendly. Akeno added. Yes he is. I'll have Kaneko keep an eye on him from now on. Issei Hyoudou. You've caught my interest. Very friendly, yet you have power lying within you that says otherwise. I'm Skip. Issei's POV. I just got out of school for the day. Me and my entire class have a test to study for tomorrow. I wonder how good I'll do on it. Those are happy thoughts for tomorrow. As I was walking home, I felt someone following me. Can whoever is following me please come out? I'm getting kind of uncomfortable. I finished saying. All of a sudden. A petite little girl with white hair popped out of the nearby bushes and she tripped on a branch so small that it looked almost impossible to trip on it. Oh, it's just you Kaneko-chan, were you following me? I asked her. Oh no, I live this way too. She's trying to lie. I can tell. Main thing that gives it away is her blushing. Then why were you hiding in the bush? I asked waiting for her to answer. Well she's stuttering and her blush is spreading even more. It's kind of cute. Whatever, let's forget about that. What matters is you're hurt. I have some bandages in my bag. I reached into my bag trying to find the bandages so I can bandage her up. Here. Stay still. She does as I say and I notice her paying close attention to how I bandage her. She looks almost as if she's interested in the way I'm bandaging her. About 2 minutes later, I finished bandaging her up. Thanks. Kaneko says while blushing. Don't worry about it. You and I should probably head to our homes, it's getting quite dark out. I said and she agrees. We say our goodbyes and head our separate ways. So she did lie about where she lives. I said to no one in particular. Kaneko's POV. Kaneko-chan. What happened to your leg? Rias asked worryingly. I got hurt and Issei helped me bandage it up. I replied. Did he do anything to hurt you? Hiba asked in a serious tone of voice. No. He didn't. I replied to the worried knight. I'm Skip, third person POV. Kaneko then went over what happened after she was ordered to keep an eye on Issei because of the power he might possess. So let me get this straight, you were following Issei-kun home. He caught you, you tripped on a little branch, he bandaged you up and then that's all that happened, right? Rias tried to conclude. He didn't really seem to care about me following him, most people would freak out if they found out I was following them. He also smiled during our entire encounter. Kaneko added. He smiles during any situation doesn't he? Fufufu. Akeno said seductively. Rias sighed, good work, Kaneko. We should all head home for now. We will discuss more about this tomorrow. Everyone nodded in agreement. Issei's POV. After that weird encounter with Kaneko, I feel like I just want to go to my bed and lay down and try to have that dream I had last night. Weird stuff's been happening for what feels like all day. I just hope it doesn't get any weirder. I wonder what mom and dad are making for dinner today. Finally. I've made it home from another happy day. When I approached my house, it looked like my house was trashed. Like a huge explosion had happened while I was at school. I then heard a voice. I immediately hid in one of the bushes next to the house. The boy's not here, Rainer, the only thing that's here are his stupid parents. You miscalculated when he would be coming home. Why did I get paired up with one of the dumbest fallen angels to ever exist? One of the voices yelled. Fallen angels? What the hell are fallen angels? I asked myself. At this point, my smile was now slowly melting off of my face. This doesn't sound like a joke. I have never heard these voices once during my time living in this neighborhood. I continued listening to their conversation. It's not my fault. He should have been home by now. How's Azazel-sama gonna react when we tell him we killed the wrong targets? Another one of the voices yelled. Wait. Killed, I yelled to myself. Did you hear something? One of the voices pointed out. Oh crap. Did they hear me? I hope not. Whatever. All I know is that Azazel-sama is going to kill us when he hears this. They were finally leaving after what felt like forever. I watched as they left what was left of my house. But then I was shocked at what I saw next. I was shocked when I saw black feathered wings emerge from behind their back as they began to fly away. When I saw that they left, I came out of my hiding spot and explored what was left of my house. The house was so damaged that not even a rat would want to live here. I started to look at Mom and Dad. It took a while, but I found them under all the rocks and concrete. Mom? Dad? I screamed when I finally found them. I then checked for their pulse. I put my finger to their wrist and tried to feel a beat. I waited for over 2 minutes and still felt nothing. Tears started to roll down my face as I started losing hope of them being alive. Come on, Mom. Come on, Dad. This isn't funny. Wake up please. I then tried CPR on Mom. I put both of my hands on her chest, and don't take that out of context. And began to push down hoping she would start breathing again. I tried the same thing with Dad. Nothing happened. Both of my parents were killed by fallen angels. No. You're kidding me. Why? Just why me? Why did you kill them and not me? Why did they have to die and not me? I was sobbing. For the first time in what felt like forever, I wasn't smiling. I didn't have anything to smile about. I sniffled. Wow. Is this what falling into depression feels like? Where you feel sad because of the something that happened. And you knew that you could have changed that outcome? I said with my voice changing to a cold and uncaring voice. Is this what anger feels like? Is this what it feels like to want revenge? To want to kill someone? I like this feeling. I want to kill everyone. I want to destroy everything in my path and not leave a trace of it behind. I looked back at my dead parents. Well, I screamed at the top of my lungs, not giving a fuck who heard. But then. So you want to get stronger? Who said that? I demanded to know. You have lots of potential inside of you, boy. I like your spirit. I sense your anger. And it even puts my own anger to shame. But I need you to calm down. Calm down. Calm down, my parents died because some stupid crows and you want me to calm down, I screamed at the unknown voice out of anger. I then tried to slowly calm down from all that just happened. Deep breathe in, deep breathe out, deep breathe in, deep breathe out. I repeated. Are you calm? The unknown voice asked. Yeah, I'm calm. Now who are you and why can't I see you? I asked with concern in my voice. The unknown voice laughed. I see I have chosen an interesting host to inherit these powers I hold within me. I sense a lot of creativity within you. It's time for me to answer your question. I, young boy, am Denzel, and I am the most powerful being in the entire supernatural universe. My time with you will not be long. But now that you are my host, I plan to train you and teach you everything you could possibly want to know. From magic, swordsmanship, martial arts, hand-to-hand combat, how to create different types of swords, how to get rid of incurable diseases, how to revive people. Wait, revive people? You mean like I can bring my parents back to life? I asked with slight interest in my voice. Oh? That caught your interest. Yes, you heard me right. I can teach you that too. All you have to do is agree to what I am about to say. Okay. Sounds pretty cool. I said with no emotion in my voice. But first I must tell you one very important thing that you must always remember. Are you ready? Yes, I am ready. Please tell me. I want to know what he's going to say. The supernatural exists. Chapter 2. The supernatural exists. Issei's POV. The supernatural exists. What in the world was I hearing? There's no way that the supernatural exists. Well, I guess it can be the only explanation as to what those people with black feathered wings were. They were calling themselves fallen angels. Shocking, right? Everything you've heard of from the Bible exists. Ranging from angels, devils, fallen angels, and lots more mythological beings. Me being one of them. Wait, so those things that killed my parents were fallen angels? I say with my tone of voice becoming deeper. I had felt angry. I had never felt like this before. Yeah. Sorry about that. Wait, they something about the boy not being here or whatever the fuck they were talking about. What did they mean by that? I asked, wanting to at least know the reason behind why my parents were accidentally killed. Those beings were fallen angels. Now I don't know the story behind why they killed your parents, but let me see if I can try to get an assumption as to what happened. I'm guessing they have been ordered by their leader to watch over you because of the power you hold within you. By watching over you for so long, they have got a pretty good idea of your pattern during the day, but because of you helping that devil that was following you, your pattern got thrown off. I'm guessing that they blew up the house and killed everyone within a 20 meters radius. But they found no trace of you being in the explosion. And then you came home, found the place in ruins, saw them leave, and you know the rest. And what do you know? I'm here, with you as my host. Denzel explained to me. Oh. So that's what happened. I said with no emotion in my voice. Wait, you said that I was helping a devil. You mean Kaneko-chan? I asked curiously. Yes. The reason she was following you was because she was ordered by her master to keep an eye on you. For the same reason your parents were killed. For the power you hold inside of you. Okay man. You keep praising me about this power that I have within me and shit. Is it you? Are you the reason that everyone wants my head? I asked, not really caring what his answer was. Oh no. That was not me. You encountered me by a 1 billion chance. You can thank the red dragon of domination that you have within you. He also goes by Dreg. And you, Issei Hyoudou, are this generation's red dragon emperor. Interesting. So would you mind explaining all of the supernatural to me, because so far, all of the bullshit that you've been explaining to me is not making any sense. I explained. You watch your mouth when you speak to me. For some reason, I didn't flinch when Denzel raised his voice at me. Usually, I would either flinch or start to cry whenever someone raised their voice at me. When I raised my voice, your body didn't even move. You will be an interesting host. Alright. I will explain all of the history behind the supernatural to you. Denzel then went on and tried his best to explain the history of the supernatural to me. Unfortunately, one of my worst subjects is history. So I really struggled trying to listen. So. Let me get this straight, God's dead, hell's real, angels, devils and fallen angels exist, dragons exist, there's something called the three factions, and I'm this generation's red dragon emperor. Denzel confirmed all of this information. There is a lot more information that I'm sure it will come in handy to know at some point, but just thinking about all things he said makes my head hurt. So much to know. Apparently, there was also a great war and the two heavenly dragons fought over something stupid during the war. Which caused them to sealed inside these things called sacred gears. The 4 original Satans died, along with God, during the war. And apparently, there are devils who go to my school. Looks like weird can always get weirder. So, adding on to what I just said, the entire occult research club and the student council are made up of devils. I asked. Yes. Denzel confirmed once again. This confirmed my suspicion of why Kaneko was following me. So. What should I do now? I asked Denzel curiously. Well, it would help if Drake was here to help me train you, so let's try to reach for him. I will lend you some of my magic in order for you to talk to him. Stay still. I did as he told, and after a few seconds, I started to feel a terrifying amount of pressure descend upon me. I tried to hold myself up. But this resulted in my losing some of my balance. What the hell is this? I said while trying to keep my balance at the same time. Don't be such a weakling. This isn't even 1% of my power. Push through. I was surprisingly able to muster up some of my strength to be able to push through the descending pressure. I yelled as I got through what was going to be first of many magic transfers. Once I felt the pressure start to decrease. I started to feel relief. I was not expecting that much pressure to come down on me at once. This was the first step to getting powerful. Good job. You've done well to endure the first of what will be many magic transfers in the near future. Now Dreg. I command that you make yourself known. Denzel yelled. Third-person POV. Greetings, young boy. I am Dreg. I am also known by many during my prime as the Red Dragon of Domination. Drake spoke as he finally was able to communicate with Issei through magic. So you're the reason everyone wants my head on a pitchfork, huh? Issei asked jokingly. Yes. I agree with your tone of voice. When devils sense powers and presences unknown to them, they will get rather suspicious. But I never would have expected both of your parents to die as one of the consequences. You have my apologies for that. Drake apologized. Well, let's get all of the apologizing out of the way. It's pretty late at night, should we start my training tomorrow? Isay asked. I agree with you, partner. We should begin tomorrow. But aren't you worried about school and how people will react when you're not there? You have a perfect attendance. Drake noted. I don't really care. If I have to choose between going to school and becoming the most powerful being in the universe, I'm going to choose the second option. Plus, there's really no going back after everything I just experienced. Isay clarified. The two beings agreed with the statement Isay has just made. Well, it's obvious that I can't sleep here. Do you two have any suggestions? Isay asked. Head towards that mountain in front of you. We will be training there, so you might as well just head there now. Denzel suggested. Isay agreed with Denzel and started to make his way to the mountain. It was a very long walk to make it up the mountain, but Isay had to make it before his watch, said 3 a.m. When Isay finally finished his journey to the top of the mountain, Isay collapsed, and the moment his face hit the ground, he passed out from exhaustion. Isay's mind, Isay was in the middle of nowhere. No matter where he went or what direction he looked in, there would always be nothing. Isay then heard two kinds of footsteps coming his way. Isay feared the worsted and tried to get away from the footsteps he felt coming after him. Once again, it didn't matter how fast he ran, and it didn't matter what direction he ran in, there was nothing. And to make matters worse, he heard the footsteps that were coming after him start to speed up. Isay ran for what felt like forever, until his legs finally gave out. Isay then turned around to see what had been chasing for what felt like the last 3 hours. He then saw a large red western dragon and what looked to be a skeleton with a cloak and a strange staff. Greetings from up above, partner. Hey, there. So it was you two that were chasing me for what felt like the last 4 hours, huh? Issei panted. We wanted you to start your training as soon as possible, since Denzel here won't be here with us for long. Drake explained. He's right. I will disappear in 8 months, so I want to give you all my knowledge and power in this time. Everyone seemed to be thinking the same thing. Issei wanted to get stronger as fast as he can, and Denzel wanted to teach him as fast as he can, since he will be disappearing soon for some unknown reason. Are you ready, partner? Because your training starts now. Drake said as he started to attack me. I immediately started to run away from him and dodge his attacks. This was going to be a long process for all three of them. Chapter 3. Training. Third-person POV. It is now the next day and there was currently no sign of Isay. Nobody except Sona noticed, but Isay had a perfect attendance. Whether there was a school trip or he had to be there in the middle of the night, Isay would always show up. So when he didn't show to school today, Sona got worried that something had happened to him. Sona sat there at the computer looking at the attendance for Issei's class, seeing that he was absent for what was probably his first time ever. All sorts of possibilities of what could have happened to Issei began to play through Sona's head. There was that he was killed, kidnapped, or maybe he moved. But he moved somewhere else. Issei would have told somebody about it. Or at the very least, he would have told Sona since she is the student council president. Hey Sona. Something wrong? Rias asked as she walked inside the student council room. Hyoudou-kun has been marked absent. Sona replied to the read. So? Doesn't everyone have at least one day of being absent from school at some point? Rias questioned the student council president at what she was trying to say. Rias wasn't wrong. Everybody has been absent from school for reason or the other. But this Issei had came to school every day since he had started. He had a perfect record of coming to school on time, except for yesterday where Issei accidentally overslept. He has never once been marked absent in his school life. His attendance record shows that he was only ever marked late once, and that was yesterday. Sona added to her argument. You're right. That is strange of Issei to be absent. I have been feeling a strange presence coming from him recently. And when I sent Kaneko to watch over him, he ended up catching her following him. Rias explained. He did. Do you think he knows about the supernatural? Sona asked. It's up there as one of the possibilities. Rias added. Maybe if he's that powerful, maybe he can help you get out of your marriage situation you have with the Phoenix family. Sona noted. That would be nice. Then I can marry someone that I actually like. Rias added. Oh. You mean someone like Issei? Rias turned away from Sona as she began to blush at Sona's teasing. Oh. So you do like him? Looks like I'm not the only one who has a little crush on Hyoudou-kun. Sona admitted. Looks like I have a little bit of competition for Hyoudou-kun's love. Sona added. Well then, I don't want it to be a competition. But, I'm sure that Issei would ending choosing me if it was a competition. Rias challenged. Also, yesterday, during Issei's lunch period, Issei came up to me and even though I was smiling he could tell it was a forced smile. Rias added to the conversation. Maybe there is something wrong with him. He can smile through anything and he was able to detect your fake smile. Sona added. Sona and Rias then went on and talked for what felt like the entire day about Issei and what they would do if he chose either one of them. It was a conversation that only showed what happened if Issei was the way he was before. If they knew the new Issei and what he had been through yesterday. They will probably be terrified of what Issei looks like now and what he will become in the future. Workroom. Hey. Kiba said as he walked in. Akeno was making tea, Kaneko was eating sweets and chocolate. Meanwhile, Rias was still chatting with Sona about Issei's first absence from school. Where's Rias? Akeno asked the knight. She's chatting with Sona about something. Didn't hear all of it, but I'm pretty sure they were talking about Issei. Kiba mentioned. Ara. Speaking of Issei, I haven't seen him come to school today. Have you, Kaneko-chan? Akeno looked towards the couch to see Kaneko stuffing her face with chocolate. No. I haven't seen him. But I do miss him. Kaneko said. Ara, why do you miss him so much already? Akeno asked trying to tease Kaneko. Which ended working as she started to blush hard. It's not that I like him or anything. It's just that he's not a PP pervert like every other boy that goes to this school. Kaneko managed to barely get her sentence out. Oh yeah. I forgot how much you hate perverts, Kaneko-chan. Akeno laughed. Rias then walked in on the conversation that was happening between Akeno and Kaneko. What are you two talking about? Rias asked. Oh nothing, but you. Akeno replied. We were just talking about how much Kaneko likes Is. Akeno's mouth was covered by Kaneko to prevent any more from being said. Oh, Kaneko. You like him too? Rias asked the blushing Miko girl. No. Kaneko tried desperately to hide the embarrassment of her face by covering her face. Everyone in the room laughed at Kaneko's embarrassment. Kaneko tried to hide her face from everyone. It's not funny. Idiots. Kaneko muttered so no one could hear her. The training mountains. So I'm actually gonna give a choice between what magic you wanna learn first. We have a lot of choices and we're gonna get through all of them in time, so it doesn't matter what you choose. Alright, here are your choices. We have ice magic, fire magic, water magic, earth magic, healing magic, dark magic, dream magic, mind magic, creation magic and destruction magic. Oh, and there's also merge magic, where you can take 2 or more types of magic you know and merge them to create a completely new type of magic. If you have the will to handle the recoil of doing so, that is. Wow. That's a lot of magic to learn. Issei complained. We will also be working on your physical capabilities. Drake added. So you mean like exercise? Issei curiously asked. That is correct. I will be training your body and Denzel will be teaching you magic. Drake mentioned. Sounds awesome. Issei said, trying to sound excited. He still wasn't over his parents' death. Alright, so, I will be training you during the day and Drake will be training you during the night. So, come on. What type of magic do you want to learn? Denzel asked seriously. Issei thought about it for a second. It really didn't matter which order he learned the magic in. But after a couple minutes, Issei finally had his answer for what magic he wanted to learn first. I choose fire magic. I want to burn everyone that dare crosses me. Issei answered with a deep and sinister tone of voice. Oh. I thought you would have wanted to learn healing magic. You know, to get your parents back from up above. Oh yeah. That would be nice to have them alive again, but first, I want to burn those fallen angels. I will make sure I kill every single fallen angel to ever exist. Issei said with sincerity in his voice. Well, that took a dark turn really quickly, huh? Drake said. Ah well, I'll leave him in your care for today, Denzel. Drake then disappeared from the conversation. Well, how do I learn fire magic? Issei asked. Well, in order to actually be able to learn magic at all, I must check your compatibility for magic. Huh. My compatibility for magic. What does that mean? Issei wanted to know. In short, it means that if have the compatibility for the magic you want to learn, you can learn it, but if you don't have any compatibility to any magic, then you basically can't learn any magic. No matter how hard you try. Oh. Well then. Please measure my compatibility for magic. Issei stood in place ready for whatever was going to happen in a moment. Denzel then hovered his over Issei's head and then a green light started to emerge from his hand. Huh. So this is what magic feels like, huh? Issei thought as Denzel was finishing up his magic compatibility check with Issei. It. Denzel's yelling leveled the entire mountain surface they were standing on. Issei covered his ears in an attempt to stop the ear-piercing yell from shattering his brain. Denzel then collapsed from where he was standing. Hey Denzel. Ugh, God, that scream was loud. Oh wait, God's dead. But Denzel, are you okay? Issei asked with concern about what was going on. Please forgive me for passing out pathetically like that. But I have the results. You're compatible with all magic. Issei stood there like a dumbass wondering what he meant by that. It means you can learn any magic that you please. This is the first time I've seen a human that can learn all the types of magic there are to know. That means you can even learn creation magic. Which also means that you can create a new type of magic. You, Issei Hyoudou, will be a force to be reckoned with in the future. I pray for those that dare get on your bad side. Denzel explained to the confused boy. Wow, that's amazing. I never thought I would hear that ever in my life. Issei exclaimed. Now in order to practice, we're going to have to find a secluded area that no one will go to. Any suggestions? I know this forest that basically everyone's too scared to go too deep inside of. Issei suggested. Well then, you lead the way to the location that you speak of. Time skip. Issei was now deep in a forest where almost no one would go into. The only reason Issei knew about it is because he would sometimes use this forest as a shortcut to get to and go home from school. Well then, this is the place. We should be far enough inside so no one will hear us. Now. What do I do? Issei sat on ground listening to what were the first steps to unlocking his magic potential. Alright. Put your hand in front of you in a fist formation. Issei did as he was told and put his hand pointing outwards in front of him. Issei was a little bit nervous because this was going to be his first time using magic. He had no clue what was going to happen. But he stood in his place awaiting his next instructions. Now imagine the person or people that you hate the most. The first things that came to Issei's were those fallen angels that murdered his parents. After a few seconds of Issei being patient, a red light started to shine and envelop Issei's hand. Wait. What's going on? I can't control it. My hand is going crazy and it hurts. What do I do, Denzel? Issei screamed out of pain. Denzel then snapped his fingers and then the red light was gone. Issei panted out of exhaustion. He then looked at his hand in shock. Wow. I hold that much potential. Issei thought to himself. Oh, I know right. Wait, you can read my mind. Issei waited for his answer. Mind magic, boy. Mind magic. But that was a good try, and here's a tip. You must control your magic. Don't let your magic control you. Some people end up going mad with power, and I don't want you to be one of those people. Okay then, let me try again. Issei repeated the same steps as last time, except this time, he was going to keep an eye on the magic. The magic started to reform in his hand. Control the magic, control the magic, control the magic. Issei repeated. The magic started to calm down and began to balance into the amount of magic Issei was using. Hey Denzel, look. Did I do it? Issei asked. Perfect. Now for target practice. Shoot the fireball at the target in front of you. All of a sudden, a stuffed human-like mannequin appeared 10 meters in front of Issei. Okay. Let's see. Oh. Issei pointed his hand enveloped in fire to the mannequin, but then the mannequin moved itself from where Issei was aiming. Oh come on, that's not fair. Issei yelled at Denzel. What? You thought the target was gonna stand still and let you hit it? Do you think if you're going up against an opponent, they're gonna sit still the entire time? Wrong. All targets move. Denzel lectured. If you truly want your fireball to hit the target, your magic will respond to your feelings and emotions. If you want to summon a really big fireball, you can do it. Magic always responds to the host's emotions. Give it another try. Denzel summoned another mannequin in front of him. Alright. Let's go. Issei tried out what Denzel had been saying. Issei shot out his fireball, and the mannequin moved. Issei then moved his hand in response with where the mannequin moved. The fireball then moved in response with Issei's hand, and then when the fireball hit the mannequin began to burn. A smirk spread across Issei's face as he watched his first victim be burned to the ground. I'm guessing that's all for fire, right? Issei asked. No. I still have one more little test I want you to pass. Oh. Okay then, what is it? Issei was wondering what Denzel's little test was. Denzel then summoned a full-on chicken and then said, here is a chicken. I want you to use the fire magic you have and barbecue this chicken. I want it well done. Weird test, but okay. Issei didn't question why Denzel wanted him to barbecue a chicken. Maybe his was to test to see if he could manage to know when it is necessary to use a large amount of magic. Denzel levitated the chicken over to Issei. Issei then enveloped his hand in fire once again to try and cook the chicken. After a few minutes of Issei enveloping the chicken in fire, he then stopped, being able to tell that the chicken was well done. He then walked over to Denzel, who was reading a newspaper about Riser Phoenix's and Rias Grimmery's marriage taking place in about 9 months. Interesting. Denzel said to himself. Hey Denzel. Denzel looked up from his newspaper and saw Issei holding a well-done chicken. Denzel examined the chicken to see if it was in fact well done. Denzel was surprised that Issei was able to get the chicken to be well done the first time. Just 2 hours ago, Issei was struggling to barely be able to control his magic. So to see he was able to barbecue this chicken to his standards the first time was a shock to see. You have a lot of surprises up your sleeve, don't you? Well done. You passed the test. I didn't expect you to do on the first try. Well, eat up. What? Issei questioned. That's your lunch. Eat up so you can choose a new type of magic to learn. Oh. Got it. Finally. Time to eat. Issei started to cut the chicken piece by piece and then savored every bite he took of the chicken. 12 p.m. Alright. Choose what magic you want to learn next. Issei pondered over what magic he wanted to learn next. Issei had always thought it would be cool to read someone's mind. But there was something that he wanted to do before that. I choose ice magic. Issei finally made up his mind. Oh. Want to be able to freeze people? Denzel asked. Yeah. Plus, freezing, burning. I reckon I can make new magic if I know how to use these two. I'm thinking of something like freezing flame. Something like that. Issei explained. Okay then. Follow me so we can begin. Denzel led Issei deeper into the forest. The exit to the forest soon disappeared out of his distance. After a few minutes of walking, Denzel finally stopped in the middle of nowhere. Denzel then summoned a deer. But this deer wasn't friendly. When the deer looked towards Issei's direction, it immediately turned hostile towards Issei and it began sprinting towards him. Freeze the deer in place. This is your challenge. Remember, magic responds to the host's feelings. Issei was surprised. This was not what he was expecting. He then remembered what Denzel said about all targets move. Issei then readied his hand towards the deer and thought about the deer freezing in place. It was then that a light blue light began to shine in Issei's hand. Issei immediately took control and aimed his hand at the deer. The deer started to move faster towards Issei. Issei then shot out his light blue beam out of his hand towards the deer. As soon as the beam made impact with the deer, there was an explosion. Once the smoke cleared up, Issei had a clear vision of the deer frozen in a cage of ice. Alright. That's what I'm talking about. Issei gloated to himself. Very impressive. And it doesn't look like it will be breaking out anytime soon. Very impressive indeed. Alright, are there any more challenges I must do to test out my ice magic powers? Issei inquired. Just one more. Denzel then summoned a bear and 3 chickens. I want you to freeze the bear and the 3 chickens. Denzel floated by a tree as he watched Issei complete his task that he was given. Issei was going to need to use a bit more magic than last time. But since it was Denzel that gave him magic, this was no problem for him. Issei decided to use both of his hands this time. Issei's hands were both enveloped in a light blue light, which of course he launched at the 3 animals. When smoke of the impact cleared, Issei smirked when he saw that the 3 animals Denzel summoned were now frozen in place. I'm definitely in for a lot of surprises. I don't want you to do anything with the animals yet. We will eat them for dinner later. For now, let's go back so you can choose what magic you want to learn next. 2:30 p.m. Alright, Issei. By now you should know how this goes. Choose what magic you want to learn next. And please don't take forever like you did last time. Issei already knew what magic he wanted to learn next. Water magic. I wish to learn water magic next. Issei requested. I feel like you only want to use magic to kill people. Isn't that what most people use magic for anyway? Issei wondered. No. Many people use magic to help people. It's just that some people like to show that they're more powerful than others a lot more than others do. I guess those people turn out to be real dicks, then huh? Issei pondered. You got that right. There are a lot of arrogant people in the supernatural world. Yeah. Now, what should I do to practice my water magic? Issei asked. I think there is a river just south of these mountains. Let's head over there for this practice. Denzel and Issei then walked over to the river that was south of the mountain. It was a pretty big river. As soon as Denzel and Issei arrived at the river, Denzel began to give Issei his instructions. Alright, Issei. This might be a little bit of a harder task, but I want you to drain this entire river of all the water it has and then put it back. Issei nodded at his instructions. Issei focused all his energy onto his hands. Issei positioned his hands in front of the river and began to focus all his energy onto his hands. All of the river was being sucked into his hands. Because didn't know how to use more magic than he did now, it took him at least 2 hours to be able to drain the entire river of all of its water. But nonetheless, he got it done. That one took you a bit longer than usual. You made me drain the entire river. How long did you think it would take? Issei replied with a little bit of anger in his voice. Not 2 hours. Now, show me you can put it all back, otherwise there's gonna be a problem with the people who like this river. Issei put his hand over what used to be a river and once again, put his mind to giving back the river its water. Then all of the water squirted out of his hand and gave back the water to the river. Wow. That took a surprisingly less amount of time. I'm impressed actually. Now, come on. Let's head back. Already? Issei asked. We've been here for 2 hours. About to be 2 hours and 30 minutes. Now let's go. 5 p.m. It always takes us 30 minutes to walk back to these mountains. It always feels like it takes longer than that. Now this will be your last magic lesson for today. So which one will it be? Earth magic? That, please. Issei said knowing how this was supposed to go. This is simple. I just want you to level these mountains. I believe your hand should shine brown when using earth magic. I'll sit here and I'll watch. Here's your challenge. Destroy and rebuild 100 mountains. Good luck. Issei walked over to a place where he saw the highest mountains. It looked like there were a good quantity of mountains where his was going. Issei kept walking and didn't stop until he felt a lot of mountains were surrounding him. When Issei finally stopped, he focused all his energy onto his mind. All of a sudden, the mountains started to shake around him and he watched as all the mountains collapsed and turned into nothing but small rocks. 1, 2, 3, 4 ugh. Only 20 mountains. This might take a while. Issei said out of frustration. He counted the amount of mountains he had made collapse. He was kind of disappointed with his result. But Issei had an idea. Issei looked at the destroyed mountains behind him. Issei then extended his hand outward to the rocks. His hand began to glow brown and the rocks started to come together and assemble a giant rock. Because Issei was not very strong body-wise, he had a bit of trouble. But he was able to take the rock he constructed and throw it at faraway mountain. Issei watched as the rock he launched exploded when it made impact with the mountain. Issei then watched as what looked like a rock slide coming his way. Issei tried desperately wanted to get away from the rock slide. As the rock slide started to catch up with Issei's feet, he jumped as a last resort. Issei then closed his eyes for what might be his last moments alive. A few seconds passed and Issei didn't feel any kind of impact on him. Issei slowly opened up his eyes to see that he was about 1,000 meters above the ground. What? What is going on? I'm flying. Okay, Issei calm down. Let's try to let yourself down gently. Issei was now descending at 1,000 kilometers per hour. Out of instinct, Issei leaned forward and then his direction suddenly changed. His flight was now linked to his mind. Wherever Issei turned his head, his body would begin to fly that corresponding direction. Issei wanted to slow down. So he had to calm down. Issei started to breathe in and out until his heartbeat finally went down. Okay. Now. Let's slow down. Issei's body then began to slow down as he levitated himself back down to the mountains. Wow. What a way to find out I can fly. Well, it makes traveling to places much faster and easier. Issei didn't complain. If he could fly, then that was a plus for him. Issei then stopped wasting time standing around admiring the fact that he could fly and began to fly himself over to find some mountains that weren't destroyed already. Ah. Here we go. Issei floated over what looked to be some tall mountains. Issei then did the same thing as last time. All the mountains were destroyed and a bunch of rock slides began to rush towards him. Issei, however, knew how to fly now. So he just levitated himself over the rock slides and watched as they collided with each other. 37 mountains down. 63 more to go. Issei said as he began to fly away to look for new mountains to destroy. 105 minutes later. Wow. He is taking quite a long time. I hope nothing happened to him. I should go look for H. Hey Denzel. Issei said as he flew towards him. Wow. That's amazing. You taught yourself to fly? Yeah. I accidentally found that out when a rock slide was coming towards me and I wanted to get away. But enough about that. Come see all the mountains I destroyed. Issei requested. Alright. Let's see what you have done. Denzel flew behind Issei as he led him to the destroyed mountains. It all soon came into view. What is all of this? These are not mountains anymore. This is a construction site. This is amazing. Denzel cleared his throat. You pass. But only if you can put all these mountains back. Issei snapped his fingers and they both watched as the mountains rebuilt themselves. Once they finished, Denzel then spoke. You pass, Issei. Do you remember those animals we left in the forest? Let's go back to them. Issei and Denzel flew through the forest until frozen cages of ice were in their view. And they're still frozen. As they should be. Good job. Now for your final magic test for today. Denzel then summoned a big pot and a ladle. Use the powers you have learned today to make me and you a bear and chicken soup. 8 p.m. Issei used his earth magic to dig himself a little pit. He then used it to gather sticks from trees and from the ground. He then levitated them back to the pit and placed the sticks in the pit. Issei then used his fire magic to light up the sticks. Since Issei's parents taught him how to cook, slicing the chicken and the bear were easy for him. When he finished filleting the bear and chicken, he tossed it into the pot. 30 minutes later. Hey Denzel. It's finished. Issei announced. Ah. Finally. I'm starving. Issei served Denzel the soup in a bowl he made with his earth magic. Nice craftsmanship. Well, let's eat. 8:45 p.m. Wow. That was good. I hope there's still some left. Denzel looked in the pot to see there was still some left. Go ahead. Eat the rest. I'm full. Issei said while holding his stomach. You pass. Well, I believe that's enough magic for today. It's time for you to train your body and strain. ODDRAIG. Issei didn't hear a response. Drake. Are you okay? Issei asked. Oh. He's mad. Denzel said. We made a bet and he said that he would teach you to fly. And I said that you would teach yourself. Looks like I won the bet. And I guess he's mad about it. Hell yeah, I'm mad. Issei. I know it's not your fault. But I am going to work you so hard, your bones will fall to the ground when I'm done with you, Drake yelled. Well, good luck, Issei. You'll need it. Denzel vanished into Issei's mind where Drake was. So? What will you make me do? Issei asked. We are going to work on your abs and chest, so we are going to be doing push-ups. Along with a few other exercises. Drake explained. This is going to be a long night, isn't it? Issei asked. Sure is. Now. Get down and give me 150. Drake yelled. 12 a.m. The next day. Issei collapsed on the hard ground, happy that his nightly exercise with Drake was over. The night consisted of push-ups, pull-ups, climbing 10 different mountains and to end it off, a 10-minute plank. You've done well to endure my training. It's best if you rest for now. That'll contribute to your muscles growing. Until then. Good night, partner. Drake bid his farewell. Issei was now left on the floor about to get some sleep. They say progress is progress, no matter how small. I will become strong. I swear I will. Then I will destroy everything. Issei muttered his last words as he fell asleep beside the tree next to him. He has so much will to learn in him. He's a fast learner too. Him even being able to exist right now should be impossible. He certainly will become a threat to the supernatural when I'm done teaching him. He will achieve a lot with his power. Save some and destroy those fools that dare displease him. With me as your coach, I will teach you all. Well, that's a lie. Some stuff you'll have to find out for yourself. We have more stuff to do tomorrow. And I'm sure you'll impress me even more. Until then, sleep well. Chapter 4. Training Part 2. 9:45 a.m. Rise and shine, partner. Let's start the day with some morning exercise. Drake said to get Issei out of his slumber. Issei arose from where he was sleeping and did a stretch. He then made himself a toothpick with his earth magic and started to clean his teeth. Once he was finished, he stood up and said, "Well, I can't do my morning run here. Way too many obstacles." Issei said, "No. This is perfect. You can practice your reflexes while maneuvering through the forest. And since your magic training will start at 12 p.m, you can also look for your breakfast. We can't train you on an empty stomach." I guess you're right, plus there are some animals that I could hunt. It could help with my hunting and sneaking skills. Plus, changing up my diet could help my muscles. Issei noted. You're right. Now your mission is to find, kill and cook 4 deer, 2 vultures, and 3 rabbits for breakfast. What? I didn't even know there were vultures in this forest. Issei said. Wow. So the entire time we've been in the forest, you've never even bothered to look up. Denzel pointed up. Issei then looked up to see a vulture sleeping on a tree branch. Oh. Issei dumbfoundingly said. Now go on. Make your breakfast. And do it fast. With that, Issei began to fly around the forest to look for his prey. Not too soon after he started, he had already found his first deer. Issei used his ice magic to freeze it in place. He then hid behind a tree. Issei soon heard more footsteps that sounded like more deer. He then turned around and saw 5 more deer surrounding the frozen deer out of interest. He extended his hand out to the 5 deer and froze them too. Issei thought this was going to be easy. He then went looking for the 2 vultures. After a few minutes of flying, he was able to find a vulture sleeping on a branch. It turned out to be the same vulture he had seen earlier. Issei flew up to the vulture's resting place. That was his first mistake. He then slowly flew towards it trying to freeze it. That was his second mistake. Which he soon realized as the vulture woke up from its nap. At that moment, the vulture turned towards Issei and then began to fly toward him. Because Issei didn't expect the vulture to wake up, he had no time to react to the vulture flying towards him. The vulture flew straight into Issei's eye and poked it out. Hhhhh. Issei screamed in pain as he held his eye while falling from the sky. Issei's eye was now bleeding. It had a scar over it. Issei took a moment and got his bearings. Issei looked at the vulture with a hungry look. Issei became very angry. "I'm going to kill you," Issei whispered silently. "I'm going to kill you," Issei repeated with his voice deepening in tone but raising in volume. "I am going to kill you," Issei yelled at the bird. But then, boost. What was that? Was that another power I have? Issei asked himself. I feel 2 times more power than before. What was that? Can I do it again? And what is this thing on my arm? Issei yelled. It looks like some sort of weapon. Is this the thing that made me more powerful? Let's see if it'll work again. Power up. Issei yelled trying to see if he would get another reaction. Nothing happened. What was that word it yelled? Oh. Boost. Boost. Hey. It worked. Issei congratulated himself for figuring out how it worked. He then remembered something important. Mini flashback. If you truly want your fireball to hit the target, your magic will respond to your feelings and emotions. If you want to summon a really big fireball, you can do it. Magic always responds to the host's emotions. Flashback over. Is this thing magic? I think it is. But even if it isn't, it should still respond to what I want to do. Right? Issei questioned. Whatever. Let's try it. Issei tried thinking about anything, trying to bring his will of getting stronger up, trying to get the weapon that was on his arm to respond. Boost X65. Nice. But that's all I should do for now. I'm sure it'll come in handy to have this thing, but now, I need to put this thing away. But how? How about I just not think about it? Will that work? Issei thought. Issei then imagined the thing on his arm going away, and to his surprise, it worked. Damn. My luck's on fire today. Well, except for my eye. Issei then sat on a rock and used his water magic to wash his face. He noticed there was a lot of blood on his hand after the first dose of water he cleaned his face with. Ah. Feels like there's a scar there now. Guess it can't be helped then. I asked Denzel to make me an eye patch later. On with the quest. Issei dismissed his eye injury and continued on with his objective. After a few minutes of walking, Issei then spotted the same vulture that took his eye out. At that moment, Issei dashed at the vulture that was on the ground 30 meters away from him. He then proceeded to tackle said vulture and then pinned it down by its neck. The vulture struggled to get out of the neck lock. All its struggling came to an end when it was suddenly sucker punched straight in the face. Issei was now punching the vulture in its face and didn't plan on stopping anytime soon. No matter how bloody Issei's hands got, he wouldn't stop punching the vulture until it was dead. Die. Die. Die, you bastard. Boost X3. The vulture was already dead from the beating it was taking to its head. But Issei didn't stop. Soon, a sinister smile made its way onto Issei's face. Issei was taken over by his lust for killing. However, he soon stopped as he soon came to the realization that the vulture was already dead. Issei used his water magic to wipe off his hands full of the thick dead vulture blood. What was that? I don't know what it was. But I enjoyed it. I think I'll call that move bloodlust. Probably because I loved that uncontrollable desire to kill. But soon I will get control of this move and all my other magic powers. Well, now that's over, I think it's about time I go hunt for more of my stuff. Issei ended his little dialogue to himself and continued with his quest. Little does Issei know that the boosting his power without any way to balance it just sent a very powerful signal through to the entire supernatural. The amount of homes he just destroyed in the most of the supernatural's domain will cost billions if not more to clean up and repair. Unknown location. Did you feel that power? One voice said. Of course we did. I'm pretty sure the entire underworld felt that. I don't know what's happening, but I've never felt that much magic before. Is someone planning something, or is someone finally making themselves known? What matters is whether they are with us or against us. I never knew being a Satan was so much work. But I hope my little sister Rias and her peerage are okay. The other voice said. I do too, your highness. The other voice spoke up. I'll send Rias, Sona and their peerages to investigate. Tell them if it gets too dangerous to retreat. The other voice said. I will. And then the other person walked out of the room to go to deliver the news. Now, mystery man, we will see if you are a danger to us. If you are, I'm afraid I'll end up having to destroy you. The man behind the voice did not want to have to resort to violence as a last resort. He believes anything can be resolved through words. 11:15 a.m. Issei has now finished getting all of his resources for his breakfast challenge. Issei counted all of his animals to end up having 2 vultures, 5 deer and 4 rabbits. More than he should have gotten. Issei then began to make a brick fireplace using some his earth magic. He then gathered some sticks from the ground and placed them in the fireplace, but didn't start the fireplace yet. Issei still needed to prepare his meat to make sure it was safe to eat. Meaning he would have to shed the skin off of the prey. I can make some good stuff with this. Maybe I can use some of this leather to make a temporary eye patch. Maybe I can make myself a nice cloak with this. Issei had a few other ideas besides just preparing the meat. He was going to make some clothing with the hide and leather he would get. Well, let's begin. Issei began to shed the deer of their hide. Once he was finished with the deer, he moved on to the rabbits. The rabbit meat was looking really good. Issei almost lost it and almost began to eat the meat raw. Guess I'm really hungry huh? Better hurry this up. Issei continued shedding the rabbits of their hide and when all that's left was their meat, he put it on the homemade fireplace he made. Finally. It was now time to shed the vultures. Yeah. Your turn now. Issei wanted to continue what happened earlier with the vulture. But knew had to be careful when shedding the meat. If he was too rough, it could damage all of his vulture. Despite having lots of hate to vultures, Issei finished shedding all of the animals. He got a fair bit of hide and leather from doing so. Alright. Awesome. Can make some good stuff with this. Issei acknowledged. But, for now. I should start taking out the organs from the meat and eat those separately. I heard somewhere that eating cooked organs is good for you. Issei noted. Issei started his process of taking out all of the organs from the meat of the animals. It didn't take surprisingly long. Issei then the organs beside the meat of the corresponding animal on the fireplace. Alright, let's cook it, eat it, and then I can make some good stuff out of this hide and leather. Issei thought to himself. Issei then lit the fireplace, and then he kept a close eye on all his meat. It was surprisingly relaxing for Issei to just sit there and watch meat cook. His mouth started to water as the smell from the meat frying on the fireplace began to arise. Odd, this smells good. I can't wait to eat it. I also have to keep an eye out for anything that could want to steal my food. Issei noted as he looked around looking for anything that could steal breakfast. After about 20 minutes of waiting for the meat to finish cooking, he put out the fire with water magic and made a plate with earth magic made out of wood. He then started with the deer meat and the organs. To be honest, it actually tasted good. Issei was surprised that deer organs would taste good. Wow. This tastes amazing. The heart actually tastes good, this might be my best breakfast ever. I just wish I could season it. Issei said wishing he could add more flavor to the meat. Issei finished all the cooked deer meat and began to eat the rabbit meat. Rabbit meat. Not bad. Not as good as the deer, but it'll do. Issei said trying not complain. Issei took a few more bites of the rabbit meat before going, wait. I take that back. This is actually good. Issei continued to eat the last bit of cooked rabbit as he looked at the cooked vulture ready to eat it and tear it apart for what it had done to him. Eating the cooked rabbit was way easier, the rabbits were much smaller. Finally, it was time for his main course. Issei grabbed the vulture and began to ravage it. He was taking huge bites out of the vulture. Issei enjoyed eating every part of that vulture. A sadistic grin began to spread across Issei's face while he was eating the cooked vulture meat. Soon, Issei finished eating that vulture that scratched his eye and went on to eat the cooked organs of the vulture along whilst starting to eat the second cooked vulture. He soon finished eating all the meat. He now looked at the hide and leather he had collected from the animals and began to make a cloak and an eye patch with the hide and leather. The process took a while because he had to make tools in order to make the "I'm not sure how I did it, but I did it. I managed to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I've got eye patch, I've got a cool ass cloak with a hood, I've got a full stomach, and I feel ready for anything." Issei praised himself. Issei headed back into the deeper side of the forest. The aura he was giving off would scare anything that came his way. Issei kept walking until he found a pretty empty spot to wait for Denzel to appear once more. Issei created a sitting rock with his earth magic and then sat on it just waiting for the next few minutes to pass by. 12 p.m. Time's up. Ooh. What happened to you? Denzel curiously asked. A lot of things. I went to go hunt for my breakfast and a fucking vulture scratched my eye out. That explains the man-made eye patch. As for the cloak, I made it because I think it makes me look pretty badass, don't you think? Issei asked. They do look pretty good on you. For some reason, the eye patch and the cloak really come together to make it look good. Once again, Issei. You have impressed me with your craftsmanship. But besides that, it's time for you to learn some new magic. So what will it be? Issei had to once again ponder about his decision about which magic he wanted to learn. He had a lot of choices. So it didn't really matter what magic he chose now. He was going to learn everything. But Issei made his decision. And chose dark magic. Issei decided. Very well then. I will now teach you some dark magic. Now before I teach you dark magic, I want to ask you one question. Are you okay with torturing people? Denzel asked. Hell yeah. In fact, now I love torture. Issei answered with a dark tone of voice. Very well then. You wish to learn dark magic. Your starting task will be to make it nighttime. Alright. Nighttime it is. Issei put his hand out and stood still for a second. After a few seconds of waiting, what looked to be a black hole started to form in his hand. Issei took this opportunity to try make up his own spell on the spot. I wish to capture all light. I wish to have all light in the world at my grasp. Issei demanded. The black hole that formed in his hand started to suck out all the light from wherever it could find light. Having a power that could drain the earth entirely of all its electricity was a scary power to think about. Yet Issei was playing around with it as if the whole world was a toy for him. Soon, the entire earth lost of its light and electricity. Issei looked in his hand and saw all of the world's light in his hand. Issei knew this would cause panic and chaos all around the world. A world without light or electricity is a scary thought for most. So at the snap of his fingers, all the light and electricity returned to the world. That was unexpected. Well, you did pass, so let's move on to your next test. Okay. So, what's my next test? Issei waited for Denzel's next instructions. I want you to kill people via surrounding them in darkness. This will scare them to death. If they just faint, then that's fine too. 200 people should suffice. Alright. Finally. I've been waiting for a test where I get to kill people using magic. Issei smiled sadistically. So I have to scare people to death. It'll be fun to see how fun dark magic can be. Issei continued to smile as he began to fly away to look for some pre-victims. After not too long, Issei came across a little girl who was just minding her own business skipping rope. The girl had a smile just he did back then. Issei smirked at finding his first victim. Issei had a plan for how he was going to scare her. First he was going to look through her mind and find her deepest fears. He will then use those fears he finds and exploit them. He had his plan set, now he just has to make his move. The little girl was happily skipping rope just minding her own business. She looked at someone who was just passing by. She was looking at a little boy. All of a sudden, the boy began to sprint towards her. The little girl got scared by this and tried to run away when she felt that she ran into a wall. There is no escape. A very loud voice yelled as all the light that once filled the sky was now gone. The boy who was chasing then pulled out a knife while still sprinting. The little girl screamed for what felt like her last 5 seconds on earth. The boy stabbed her in the stomach as the girl tried gasping for air. She soon fainted from the fear. Issei stared in disappointment from not being able to kill his first victim. Oh, come on. She fainted. That's disappointing. Ah well, I guess there always going to be more. At least I have a plan for what I will do to them. Plus I can always make more up as I go. Issei carried on finding more people to scare. It was like Halloween had come early for Issei. 2:30 p.m. Looks like you had quite a bit of fun on your adventure, huh, Issei? I mean, I guess. I only got to kill about 40% of them. Most of them just fainted, making it not so much fun as it could have been. Issei groaned. Anyway. Is that it? Do we move on to the new magic that I can learn now? Issei pondered. Yes. We do move on now. What magic would you like to learn next? I want to learn healing magic. Issei answered. Nice. A guy who can't heal the person himself or the person he loves can't call himself a man. Yeah, whatever. If I can learn to heal efficiently, that'll be very good for me. Plus, by learning healing magic, that can eventually lead to resurrection. Then it'll lead to the thing you just said. Issei muttered that last part. Alright, let's start with the basics. First let's test your quality of your healing. That'll matter a lot later on. Let's begin. Denzel then summoned an injured rabbit that had both of its legs broken. This rabbit has had both of its legs broken. How are you going to help it? Denzel asked. I'm going to heal its broken legs. Let's try it. Issei hovered his hand over the rabbit's legs. A yellow light then began to surround the rabbit and its legs were healed. Once the yellow light dimmed down, the rabbit woke up and ran away from Issei because of their size difference. Impressive. You even gave it a little boost when you healed up its legs. Now to test your quantity. Denzel then summoned about 5 rabbits in front of Issei. This one has its skull slightly fractured, this one has a heart disease, this one had its head bitten off by a wolf and had both their ears and their eyes taken from them. It really is a sight to see, isn't it? 4 cute little rabbits having injuries. I know what to do. Issei hovered his hand over the 5 bunnies and the yellow light surrounded the 5 bunnies. All of their injuries went away in a matter of seconds. Soon all the rabbits woke up from their sleep. Alright, you can all go home now. Issei watched as all the rabbits hopped away into the forest. All except for one. The rabbit that didn't leave just looked at Issei like it was examining him. Issei stared back at the bunny for a good few minutes before the bunny decided to run up to Issei and snuggle up to him by his leg. Issei picked up the rabbit and stopped it from snuggling on him. Come on. You need to get going. Your friends are leaving without you. Issei put the rabbit back on the ground. But the rabbit ran right back to Issei and continued to snuggle on his leg. Oh. It seems this one seems quite fond of you, Issei. Yeah. Well, I can't turn down a free rabbit. Plus, it is cute. Now all I need is a name. You got one, Denzel? Issei asked the skeleton. It's not my pet. You should name it. Issei pondered about what he was going to name his rabbit. A lot of names came up but there was one name that stuck to him more. Alright, I've thought of a name. Issei spoke. I don't know why, but I'm actually excited to hear what you will name it. So? What will it be? I'm gonna name it Irina. Issei decided. Interesting name. Why that? I had a childhood friend named Irina. I don't know why, but she always looked like a boy to me. Despite me talking to people a lot, I'm actually more of an introvert. I only talk to people because I had to. Irina was the only one who ever came up to talk to me. She sadly moved away and I feel like we didn't get to spend much time together. That's mostly why I named the rabbit after her. Plus, Irina was cute and was kind of my first crush and the rabbit reminds of how cute she was. Issei finished saying. Quite the backstory there. Yep. Alright. You are now named Irina. Got it. Irina climbed onto Issei and rested on his shoulder. She seems happy with the name. Now that's over with, time to learn how to use some more magic. So. What'll it be? Dream magic. Issei decided. Alright. This should be quite simple. Denzel summoned a woman who looked to be in her 30s. All you have to do is give this young lady a nightmare and you pass. Alright. Pretty straightforward. Let's do it. Issei focused his mind. Issei didn't feel anything happening. Looks like dream magic might be one of the more harder magic types to learn. Just as Issei finished his sentence. Issei realized that he wasn't in the forest anymore. He was inside the woman's mind. Looks like I take it back. Issei threw away his last statement. Issei searched around for a little while. People's dreams are weird. But I guess everyone dreams about something different. Not everyone can have the same preference. Issei thought as he continued to look around. Finally. Looks like I found her. Now to give her a dream she can never forget. Issei began to run towards the unsuspecting woman and then tackled her. The woman immediately started to scream out of fear and tried to get up from Issei's grasp. Your resistance is futile. Confess your sins and I might consider letting you go. Issei demanded. Alright, I may have cheated on my husband, the woman screamed. May have? What do we have here? An unfaithful little bitch. Issei taunted as he stepped on her hand, breaking 3 of the 5 fingers she had on that hand. The woman once again screamed for her life. She had no clue what was happening. Even though everything that was happening right now wasn't happening to her in real life, it still hurt like hell to her. Okay. I cheated on my husband and I used his credit card and spent $10,000. The woman screamed her sins out for everyone to hear. Issei smiled at her torture. He hated those that cheat or those that were unfaithful to their loved ones. He knew exactly what to say next. "Oh, so you're unfaithful and you're a thief. I guess I'll have to kill you." Issei yelled at the feared woman. Wait. You said you wouldn't kill me if I confessed my sin. They yelled at Isay for not keeping his promise. I said, maybe I'll consider it. But I've had enough. Those who cheat on their loved ones truly disgust me. On top of that, you're a thief. You would steal from your own spouse. You truly disgust me. Well, time to die. Isay said as he readied his fist ready to slam it into her face. No, wait. Please. I'll do anything. Please don't kill me. Isay laughed maniacally as he was about to plant his fist onto her skull. When all of a sudden, he was suddenly back in the forest. He looked around confused with what had just happened. Hey Denzel. Mind explaining what just happened? Isay asked the floating skeleton in front of him. She woke up. And is probably regretting a lot of the things she's done during her life. You definitely passed that one. Alright. What do you want to try next? Definitely the mind magic. Moving stuff with my mind sounds pretty amazing. Issei settles for mind magic as his final magic lesson for today. Denzel then summoned what looked to be an apple. This test will be simple. Make the apple levitate using your mind. Issei knew what to do. He stood still and looked at the apple. Then the apple started to levitate off of the ground. He tried to move it around via looking on different directions. The apple was then moving in the direction that Issei was looking in. Wow. This is pretty cool. That was kind of easy. Denzel, summon something heavier. Issei requested. As you wish. Denzel then summoned a piano. Try that. Issei tried the same thing he did with the apple. It was a bit harder to do because the piano was a bit heavier, but he still did manage to move it with his mind. He placed it down on the ground and he began to pant out of exhaustion. Alright, nice. Next, we'll move on to mind reading. Denzel then teleported them to the middle of the city. They were both invisible so no one could see them. Now. Read that guy's mind. Issei focused on the guy and managed to get into his mind. He could hear the guy speaking to himself. Odd. Cherry-chan's gonna be so happy when she hears that I got a promotion at work today. The guy said in his mind. Issei then stopped and got pulled away from the guy's mindscape. Hey Denzel. Can I speak to them from their mind while I'm there? Issei questioned. Yes. They can hear you. But as long as you only talk to yourself in your own mind whenever you're trying to read someone else's, you should be fine. Make sense? Yeah. Issei answered. Well, you passed that test. You can take a break for now, but I will come back to you in a little bit to discuss your final test for today. Okay then. Issei then grabbed Irina and then made himself a little rock to sit himself on. Well then Irina. What should we do on our break? Irina began to purr as Issei started to pet her. Yeah. You're right. Let's just stay here. I don't even feel like moving after all that happened today. You know, a vulture scratched my eye today. That's why I have the eye patch on my eye. The cloak is just for fun. Plus, I look pretty badass in it. Irina purred at Issei's statement. You know what I should make next? A gun. A magic gun that will contain all magic. A gun that I have ownership to so only I can use it. Sounds like a hard task. I plan to do the same with a sword. I plan to make a really good sword with those Excaliburs that Denzel was talking about. I plan to merge them when I learn merge magic. Then, I'm going to add a bit of my own magic to it. I think it'll be a good sword. And I plan to do it all with you at my side. Sounds pretty sweet, right? I plan to train myself very hard. I'll grow lots of muscle everywhere with Drake training me during the night. Lots to learn and a lot of time to learn it all. For now let's just take our time and rest Irina. Issei sat back on his rock and petted Irina until she saw she fell asleep. Issei smiled as he watched her fall asleep. Have a nice sleep Irina. Issei eventually fell asleep along with her. They were going to need this little nap. The test that was coming towards them was not going to be what Issei would expect. 6:30 p.m. Issei woke up from his nap having to do. So he just began to talk to Irina. Sorry I can't get you any food right now. But don't worry. Soon you'll have all the food you want. Issei promised the sleeping rabbit as he petted her. Denzel then teleported in front of Issei, ready to tell him what his next test was. Issei, hide behind that tree. Now. Issei was confused as to why Denzel was screaming at him. Denzel, what's wrong? Issei was interrupted by Denzel yelling once again. Just do it. Issei grabbed Irina and did as he was told and hid behind the tree. He looked behind him and saw Rias, Sona and both of their peerages. Rias senpai, Sona senpai, what are they doing here? Issei thought to himself. Remember those vultures? What the fuck do those stupid vultures have to do with what's going on? Issei yelled at Denzel for asking what he thought was a stupid question. Fine. Remember when unlocked the boosted gear? Denzel tried to remind him. You mean this thing? Issei summoned his boosted gear. This thing emits such crazy power that will probably make you even more of a threat to the supernatural. Remember when you went overboard with your boosting? Yeah, why? Did I do something to disrupt the underworld or something? Issei had no idea what was going on. When you unlocked the boosted gear, it pretty much sent an earthquake throughout the entire world. On top of that, you ended up boosting 65 times. Do you know how much destruction you've just caused? The amount of homes you've destroyed? No. Issei remained clueless. Whatever. Your final challenge for today is to get them out of here. They could become a roadblock to your training. Alright. Let's finish this quickly. Issei yelled to himself in his thoughts, determined to get them out of here. Sona, Rias, and their peerages. Rias, Sona and their peerages were walking behind their leaders. Rias and Sona looked around and were careful of what was around them. Sona, you see anything? Rias asked. No. Not yet. Don't fall behind, any of you. We've been tasked with finding out what that huge power surge that recently happened is about. Your brother said they detected it from the forest. Sona explained. She's right. Come on everyone. And remember. If we see anything dangerous, we'll fall back and retreat. Rias added. They then walked around for what felt like an hour. They were finding nothing. Some of Sona's peerage were getting a bit scared the more deeper they went into the forest. All of a sudden, it went dark. Nobody was able to see each other. It was as someone had used some sort of magic that got rid of the light. After a while of silence, a deep and chilling voice then began to speak after what seemed like forever of silence. Now. Let the games begin. Chapter 5. Training Part 3. Kaneko's Mindscape. If there's one you should always know, even if you live on a world where supernatural beings like devils, fallen angels, and other mythological creatures exist, it's that you and the people close to you are never safe. That includes in your dreams. Once you're in, there's no coming out. That's the sad life that many people live in the supernatural. Kaneko was walking in what seemed like nothing. She was walking on nothing, nor could she hear or see anything in front of her or behind her. She was constantly shaking out of fear that something might jump out at her from the dark. She tried to listen for someone or something. Anything to get out of this never-ending nightmare. This was her mindscape. What was it that when she tried to call or look for help, nothing happened? It's as if someone else has taken control of her mind. Shirin Kaneko felt her soul leave her body. There was only one person she knew that called her by that name. She also recognized the voice that was calling out to her. It was her sister. Kuroka. What are you doing here? Kaneko called out. Oh. Sorry. I meant to call you Kaneko. That's your name now, right? Kuroka teased her, avoiding the question. Answer me. Kaneko demanded. Well, you figured out that this is your mindscape, right? And what do you do in your mindscape? You create objects inside here. You can also remind yourself of the good times you've had with the people you love. But it's also the opposite as well. Kaneko listened to her sister ramble on about what seemed like bullshit to her. So then, what are you doing here? Kaneko still didn't get what was happening. I've come to take you with me. After all. You belong to me. Not that red bitch. Kuroka smirked. Kaneko tried to back up away from her crazy sister. But as she tried to get away from her, Kuroka said something. If only you accepted the power that you have, you could be able to escape me, Kuroka yelled at her. Kaneko continued to attempt to get away from her. She was running like she felt like her life was on the line if she didn't run now. You can't escape yourself from me, Shirin. Accept your power. Kuroka screamed. No. I won't use my powers to hurt others like you. Kaneko began trying to get away from her. She started to run in what seemed like nowhere. It was pitch black once again. Kaneko didn't move out of her spot for what seemed like forever. Silence, pure and utter silence. She didn't move. She didn't speak. She just stood in place for whatever was going to happen to her to happen. Interesting. So you fear your own sister? A mysterious voice spoke up. WW, who are you? Kaneko asked out of pure fear. What did she do to make you fear her? The voice asked. As she killed our previous owner. Kaneko admitted. Out of lust for power. Was it her fault? The voice asked. I don't know. Kaneko tried to run again but was latched onto something. Something was grabbing her by the arm. Do not dare try to escape from me. The voice shouted at her while holding on to her with a tight grip. Someone. PP please. Help me. Kaneko whispered as she fainted from what felt like hours of endless mind torture. Didn't think she would faint from just that. Alright. On to the next few. The mysterious voice said as it exited Kaneko's mind. Ria's mindscape. You'll never live up to your brother. Look at what he's done. Everything you've gotten is because of him. He works hard to give his little Ria's Tan everything she wants. Ria's heard herself say over and over again. So she fears not being able to live up to her brother's expectations. This one should be easy. The voice said as it got ready for what it was going to do to her. Hey Rias. A man with red hair suddenly appeared in front of Rias. Ani-sama. What are you doing here? Rias was surprised to see her brother here on what she thought was her and Sona's mission. I'm here to finish what you couldn't, Rias. You have failed to live up to my expectations. You will be stripped of your title of the heiress of the Gremory clan. You have brought nothing but shame to our family ever since you became a high-class devil. So will be stripped your high-class title too. Her brother said, not joking around with her. Rias dropped down to the floor and began to cry. Wait. Ani-sama. I'm sorry. Let me prove myself once more. Please. Rias broke down even more as she begged her brother to let her prove herself. Her brother looked down at her with nothing but shame in his eyes. Ha. I love how easy this is. It's so easy to break people with their loved ones. The voice began to laugh maniacally as it stared at the broken redhead. Well, on to the next. Akeno's mindscape. Okay. Let's see how this one goes. The voice said. Akeno was just walking around. She still had a smile on her face as usual. She was walking around for a while. She was actually enjoying it. Keyword was. She came to a stop when she came across a grave. What's this? She brushed off the dust from the grave and it read Shuri Himejima. Mom, she whispered under her breath. Akeno started to walk towards her mother. Hey Akeno. Shuri greeted. Akeno waved back at her. Shuri then smiled back at her. She then faded into a grayish-black dust. Akeno was confused by this and didn't know what was going to happen next. So she began to back away from the grave. After backing away fairly far away from the grave, she then bumped into something that was behind her. Oh. Pardon me, Akeno took back her apology once she took a look at who she had bumped into. You. Scum. Akeno was now no longer smiling. Instead, she had a sour face like she had held a grudge against this person for a long while. Akeno began to back away from her father. She was disgusted at the mere sight of her father. What are you doing here? You know I want you out of my life. So get out. Akeno asserted, trying to make it clear. Her father was interrupted by Akeno. No. I don't want to hear it. Why weren't you there with mother? You could have saved her. I hate you. Akeno screamed at her father. Really? Is that all it takes? Alright, I've had enough. Let's finish this off. Sona's mindscape. Sona was just walking around mindlessly. She was the definition of lost. No matter where she looked, just like the others, there was nothing but a pitch-black void that stood between her. Hey, Sona-chan. Sona knew who that voice was. It was her sister Seraphil. One of the 4 great Satans. But Sona knew Seraphil to be just like Issei used to be. She would always play around and joke around with her sister whenever she didn't have anything to do as one of the 4 great Satans. But this was different. Seraphil had been sent on mission by herself to deal with the Cows Brigade, and the end result was that she was used as an experiment by them. The Cows Brigade, led by Office, were wanting to create a spell that could give dragons a disease called that could kill them in a matter of seconds. Seraphil ended up as the unfortunate test subject. The spell was only supposed to work on dragons, but because Seraphil was a devil and it worked on her, this experiment was deemed to fail. The spell left Seraphil with a very bad disease that became known in the underworld as Devil's Downfall. It was like any other sickness. Except 100 times worse. For over 2 years, people have been trying to come up with treatments for it. There are currently treatments for it. But it was too late for Seraphil. The disease had already spread throughout most of her body. Most of her body was paralyzed and she could barely talk. So, for Sona, hearing her sister talk was something that struck a lot of her nerves. Oh, Wani-sama. Sona barely managed to get out. She was about to start crying. I am fine. Don't worry about me. Don't cry. Seraphil assured her sister. Don't worry. I swear you'll be fine. Somebody will come up with a cure. Sona assured, trying to sound sincere. Sona couldn't hold back her tears anymore. She began to cry with her sister just watching, not being able to do or say anything to help. I feel like I struck a bit of my own nerves with this one. I guess we're done with that. The mysterious voice exited Sona's mind. The forest, 8 p.m. Rias looked around for a brief moment as she realized that everything that just happened to her didn't happen. It was all in her mind. Rias looked around and noticed that she wasn't the only one who had been knocked out. Everybody had looked at each other in relief. Some were crying and others were shaking. They all took some time to breathe for whatever just happened. But that time was soon interrupted by a mysterious person making itself known once again. What are you doing here? The mysterious voice said chillingly. Everybody's guard got back up as they looked around to see where the voice came from. Not getting an answer from the group. I'll ask again. What are you doing here? The voice asked again, only this time it sounded more close to them than before. Sona decided to speak up for the group. We are here on orders from Lucifer himself. We are here to investigate a huge power signal that has been sent throughout the supernatural via this location. Sona finished. Oh. So I guess everybody felt it then, huh? Issei thought to himself. I see. Well. Here's the deal. I give you 5 seconds to get out of here. Or else, all of you are going to become my meal. The boy said. What do you mean? Rias asked, not ready for what would happen next. Issei then appeared in front of them. Because of what Issei was wearing now, no one in the group could recognize him. Also because Issei made sure to have his cloak cover half of his face. Allow me to show you. Issei was then able to summon a random woman who didn't seem to be doing anything. It seemed that the woman was just sleeping soundly. What do you plan to do with her? Sona yelled. Issei brought in someone who had nothing to do with the fight. Oh. Nothing. Just making my starting appetizer. Let's start with some chicken. Issei levitated his hand over the sleeping woman. After a few seconds she began to transform into a chicken. Unfortunately for the woman, she woke up. Issei didn't want her to feel any pain while she transformed. The woman looked at her body, then looked at Issei, who had a serious face. The woman then looked at Issei with a look of horror as the pain began to seep into her skin. She began to scream as the pain as her body began to spread all over her body. The transformation was almost complete and the woman had just accepted her fate. "TTT, tell my husband, I'll love him." The woman uttered her last words as the transformation completed itself. Issei went over and grabbed the now cooked chicken from the floor. Everyone just stared at him in confusion. Issei looked back at them wondering why they were staring at him. Breasts are the best part of the chicken. What are you looking at? Didn't you hear what she said? Call her husband and tell him she loves her. Issei threw a piece of paper that had a phone number on it. Why, you're not serious. Are you? Rias asked, trying to hide the fear in her voice. Come on, she just got turned into my meal. She's basically dead. All she wants was for you to call her husband and say to him that she loves her. Issei monologue. How about this? All you have to do is call her husband and then I won't kill you. Issei commanded Rias to do it. Come on. Is it that hard to call someone? Issei said, trying to intimidate her. What I am even talking about? Being a huge introvert I am makes interacting with people hard. I barely like to go outside. And when I do, I usually go to restaurants to get some food because my parents were out. The amount of times they get my order wrong and just don't want to say anything makes me mad. Maybe I just have really bad social anxiety. Man, I hate people. Issei thought. Fine, I'll call him. Rias took a phone out her pocket and called the number shown on the paper. Rias inputted the number into her phone, then the phone started to ring. While the phone was ringing, everybody was looking at Issei. Issei just stared right back at them. Issei knew they would meet at some point. Just not so soon. This gave Issei a sign that he had to start learning to control how much power he used. He put that on his list of things to do. Finally, the staring contest between Issei and the groups came to an end. The ringing from the phone stopped. This meant that someone picked up. Hello? The woman's husband had picked up the phone. Yes. Hi. Rias answered nervously. This is not a good way to find out. I'm sorry to tell you, but your wife, she's dead. I'm sorry. Rias tried to look away from the phone while trying to hold back her tears. There was a couple seconds of silence. Rias didn't know what to do or say. Issei was just watching Rias hold the phone in her hand while she wiped tears off of her face. Thank you. The guy on the other side of the telephone said. She's been trying to get me to kill her ever since that we got married. She had a theory that she'll be transferred into another world filled with magic. I've been trying to tell her that magic's not real, but she kept on insisting that it is. So, I humbly thank you for doing what I couldn't. Have a good day. The man hung up the phone. Well, I think we can all agree that hearing that was that last thing we all expected. Issei tried to ignore everything that just happened. Well, you've done what I've told you. Now I'll give you a total of 15 seconds to make your choice. Stay and fight or retreat and we never meet again. Make your choice. Issei took a few steps back. Alright, we'll retreat for no. Rias was interrupted by Sona. Get ready. We'll make sure we leave not a single trace of you behind. Everyone. Prepare yourselves. Sona shouted. Her peerage got their magic ready, as did Rias' peerage. Wait. Sona. What are you thinking? We don't have to fight. Rias yelled. Come on, Rias. Your brother himself sent us on this mission. He can't take on all of us at once. Sona tried to point out. Plus, what would your brother think? Sona added. Rias sighed. She knew that Sona had a point. There was only one of him and more than 10 of them. Alright. We all choose to take you on. Rias yelled as she readied her magic. Well, Issei. Wanna try to use that? Drake asked Issei in his head. Yeah. I wanna see how terrifying it is too. Issei thought to Drake. Alright then. Because I am a gentleman, I will let you make the first move. Issei said to Rias and Sona. Alright, everyone. Are you ready? Sona asked her peerage. Everyone nodded as they were ready to release their attack. Are you ready, everyone? Rias asked her peerage. Same like Sona's, everyone nodded. Alright. Everyone. Kill him. Sona and Rias yelled at the same time. The purple blast erupted from both peerages and their leaders. The purple blast headed towards Issei, but instead of moving out of the way, Issei stood in place, and a grin rose onto his face. Issei opened up his hand in front of him, and a black hole suddenly appeared in his hand. The black hole then sucked up the purple blast that was aiming towards Issei. As the magic soon disappeared into the black hole, Issei closed his hand to get rid of the black hole. Thanks for the meal. Issei said as he licked his lips. What was that? Sona yelled, questioning what Issei just did. Everyone was shaken from what just occurred. Everyone backed away from Issei. They did not know what was going to happen next. Alright, nice. It worked. Drag, I think I should use that. Issei thought to Drag. I couldn't agree more, Issei. Be careful. Drag warned Issei for what he planned to do. Alright, that was a good attack. But it also sucked. I guess it's my turn. Issei stood where he was and began to chant. I, who am about to awaken. Issei began his chant. Wait, impossible. Isn't he chanting? The Sona also began to back away from Issei. The heavenly dragon who has stolen the principles of domination from God. Issei continued his chant. We have to get out of here. Rias also backed away as she was also afraid of what was to come. I laugh at the infinite and grieve at the dream. As Issei continued his chant, everyone began to start to back away farther from him. Everyone get away. He's dangerous. Sona yelled to her peerage. I shall become the red dragon of domination. Issei continued his chant as everybody began run away from him. And I shall sink you to the depths of the crimson purgatory. Issei finished his chant. Soon after he finished, his body began to undergo some changes. His aura went off the charts, and because of the transformation, there was a huge explosion that could have destroyed the entire forest. Unfortunately, for Rias, Sona and their peerages, the explosion hit them. Luckily no one was dead from the explosion. What is this power? Rias trembled as a result of the extreme aura that Issei in his Juggernaut Drive form was emitting. Rias. Let's get everyone and get out of here. And tell them that the red dragon of domination is our enemy. Sona yelled at Rias. Rias nodded as she gathered her peerage. Something flying in the sky was heard by Sona and Rias. It was Issei in his Juggernaut Drive form. His aura was starting to put pressure onto Rias and Sona. Rias felt like she couldn't breathe, like her soul was being taken from her. As quickly as she could, she summoned a magic circle and pushed her unconscious peerage through it. Sona did the same with her peerage. As Issei watched them disappear from the magic circles, Issei got out of his Juggernaut Drive form and collapsed onto the ground. Issei tried to stand up, but the most he could do was lean onto one of his knees. Issei looked around him and saw the destruction that being in that form for only a few seconds caused. Everywhere he turned, there was a fire, a broken tree, a huge crater. Pretty much all just destruction. Wow. I did all this? Issei asked no one in particular. Yeah. Quite shocking if you ask me. But that is the least of the power you could have. But you did good. You were able to get them out of here without any casualties. You're kidding, right? Wait, what the fuck happened to my voice? Denzel, if you did this as an attempt to make me sound cooler. It's nice, but I don't want it. Take it back. Issei wanted Denzel to take the voice he gave Issei back. There was only one problem though. Denzel didn't give him the voice. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't give the voice to you. Strange. I guess I was always a late bloomer. Kids in my middle school would make fun of me for having my high-pitched voice at the age of 14. And ever since I got into the school I go to now, those dumbest perverts would make fun of my voice too. But I guess having this voice is cool. Makes me sound menacing. Issei monologued about his voice. Wait, where's Irina? Don't tell me I killed her with that explosion. No. Issei began to sob. But after a few seconds of him sobbing, he felt something inside his cloak. He then took his cloak off to see that it was moving. He lifted it up off the ground and it revealed a bunny that had an eye missing. Irina. You're okay. But your eye isn't. Here, stay still. A greenish-yellow light began to emit from Issei's hand. Issei then put his hand over Irina's eye. The flesh that the eye lost began to reform. And soon her eye was back to where it was in good condition. Issei sighed in relief now that Irina was in a good condition. You were hiding in my cloak, huh? Sneaky little bunny you are. Issei praised Irina for being able to get in his cloak without him noticing. Alright, up next, creation magic. Now. Denzel. What do I do for this one? Issei asked the floating skeleton. This one should be simple. See that tree over there? Fix it. Fix a tree. This should be interesting, Issei thought. Remember. I can hear what you're thinking. Yeah, I remember. Issei walked up to the tree and put his hand in front of him. Creation. He said. The tree then started to grow all of its branches and its trunk started to grow back. In a way, it's beautiful to watch. Issei stared at the tree as it bloomed into something most people wish they could. I do agree. Now. Do that for this entire forest. No way. Issei said calmly. I feel like I sound way more relaxed now. Is it the voice? Issei questioned why he was not freaking out over what Denzel just said. Alright. Doing all of these trees and craters individually is going to take too long. Like for all the other magic I've been using, there has to be a way to fix this forest in just 1 second. Issei thought himself for a second before he came up with an idea. Alright, let's try it. Issei put his above him and chanted his spell that he named. Mega Construct, Issei chanted. But nothing happened. It seemed that for the first time, one of Issei's spells didn't work. Well, that's a shame in itself. Issei looked down to the ground in shame. Wait, Issei. Look. Issei looked up from the ground to see that his spell was not a fail, it just took a while to take effect. Craters were now seen fixing themselves, trees regrowing themselves and fire putting out themselves. That's weird. Alright. My list of things to do. Sleep with Arena, train with Drag in my mind, wake up and relocate our training area. We obviously can't stay here. They might come back. Issei planned out what he was going to do the next morning after his much needed sleep. Because he wasn't used to it, the Juggernaut Drive took a lot of energy out of him, despite being in it for only a few seconds. Issei definitely needed some rest. Sounds like a plan. Alright, partner. Let's begin our little session. Drake said. And Denzel. Just say you gave me the deep voice. I don't care if you did it on purpose or not. Just tell if you did it. I didn't do it. Like you said, you're just a late bloomer. But you do sound menacing though. And for what's to come, having that voice will definitely scare some people. I have to talk to people in the future. Ugh. But I hate people. Most people are bitches. Issei criticized. Well, you'll be running into all sorts of people, so prepare yourself. Now get some rest. You need it. Chapter 6. Training Part 4. Issei's POV. So it's the next morning. The training is getting easier and easier. My muscle has been building up from all that mind training I've been doing with Drag at night. One thing's for sure. I definitely don't feel the average person anymore. I only have 2 types of magic left to learn, then Denzel said something last night about I'll be back in 8 months to have an all-out battle with you. You must train and master the magic you have found within yourself and train your body to be able to handle your magic or something like that. I believe all that's left is destruction and merge. Destruction seems pretty straightforward, but what I'm curious about is the merge magic. That magic alone sounds forbidden. Forbidden? When did I start using that word? Whatever. Let's see what happens today. No one's POV. 9 AM. Issei was already awake. Today was no joke for him. He needed to kill every animal he could see. Not only for his breakfast, okay, that's a lie. Issei's appetite has been growing a lot more. Meaning if it got to it, he will make sure that every animal goes extinct. Except Arena, of course. Alright, Arena. Time to eat up. I have 2 more types of magic to learn, then all we do is train for 8 more months. Issei said as he ate the cooked deer. So, that Juggernaut Drive form. It was good, judging from the way Sona and Rias reacted when I transformed. But compared to the power I want, it may become one of the weakest forms that I'll have. Until then, I should probably learn to control it. Issei said, talking to himself. Also, partner. If you want, you can try to make a sword that's more powerful than the original Excalibur. Drake suggested. Excalibur? What's that? Issei asked. It's a holy sword that was created by magic. This sword has been split into 7 forms. Mimic, Destruction, Rapidly, Nightmare, Transparency, Blessing and Ruler. Drake explained. Oh, sounds cool. I wonder if merge magic will work with the swords since technically they're made out of magic. Sounds like a cool experiment I want to try out. Maybe I can make a better sword with the Excalibur fragments. Issei wondered about the possibilities. Are you ready? Hell yeah. Let's do it. Issei responded. Alright. Let's go. Denzel summoned a magic circle. The magic made its way towards Issei and Arena. Issei walked through it with Arena in his hands. Denzel soon followed as he flew through the portal. Wow. What is this place? Issei asked curiously. This is the void. There is basically nothing here. Which is why it's perfect for you to train your magic here. Alright. Destruction magic time. Issei said enthusiastically as he rubbed his hands together. The void started to change into a city that had people in it. The city looked to be comparable to the largest cities in the world. Okay. This should be pretty straightforward. Destroy the entire city. Alright. Issei readied his hands and his mind. He had never thought about destroying an entire city. The forest Issei was resided in previously was only 2% of the size compared to how big the city was. But because of Drake's training, Issei's body was being able to hold a lot of magic capacity. Issei didn't understand it, nor did he question it. Issei flew above the city and got his hands ready to fire his magic. He put his hands in front of him and focused his energy to his hands. The energy he felt was rage. Something that had been wanting to be let out. What the fuck is this energy? Out. Issei yelled in pain as he let out the power of destruction magic. After calming down from letting out that rage of power, Issei watched as his magic destroyed the entire city. Little by little. Issei breathed heavily as he watched the once running city crumble to the ground. Looks like there will be some recoil. You'll probably get used to it down the line. Recoil? That's what that was? You didn't tell about that. Issei didn't seem pleased at the surprise he just got and was wondering what the hell just happened. You didn't ask. What? You thought we're going to be able to just have all power without any repercussions? That seemed implied. But whatever. It seems I was a fool to think what I thought. After all, most power comes with a price. Issei sighed. Don't worry, I'm pretty sure destruction and merge magic are the only types of magic that have heavy repercussions. I wonder what repercussions merge magic has. I mean, I hope nothing big, but that would be like asking for $1 billion, it's not gonna happen. Issei thought. Anyways, like I said, you should overcome them. Plus if the repercussions are like huge, you have healing magic. Which if you train your healing magic hard enough, you should be able to heal almost anything. Like wounds, cuts, diseases, cancer, broken bones, you know. Stuff like that. So you should be fine. Alright. If you're sure. The destroyed city started to fade back into the void. The void soon returned to just being the pitch black void it once was. Alright, last one. Merge magic. Now, what do I do? Issei asked Denzel. Alright, merge magic, so simple yet so complicated. Okay, listen, think of one type of magic and then think of another type of magic. Issei struggled for a moment to think of two types of magic. But he came to the conclusion of using fire and ice magic. Alright. Now for the complicated part. Think of them both at same time. Issei did as he was told. Trying to think of them both at the same time was a bit of a challenge. But he manages to get it done. But with a result he was not expecting. There was a red-orange-yellowish kind of light shining from Issei's left hand and there was a light bluish kind of light shining from Issei's right hand. Wow. That was quicker than I expected. Now put your hands together. Issei put his hands together and then a glow came from his hands. The glow then burst from his hands into the air, turning itself into a reddish light bluish tornado. Issei stared in awe at the little tornado that was in his hands. It was mesmerizing for Issei and Denzel watching the magic tornado's colors mix. I don't know why, but I'm enjoying this. Issei said mesmerized. I don't know why, but me too. If you don't like how slow it's going, use some magic to speed it up. Issei used some of his magic to speed up the merging process. By doing this, the tornado started to move faster. And soon started to disappear after a few seconds. Once the magic tornado disappeared, Issei looked towards Denzel. What do I do? Issei asked. I would recommend waiting for the repercussion to come into play. Should take a few seconds. Issei waited for something to happen to his body, but he got more than he expected. Strange. I don't think anything's happened. Ugh. Issei gagged as he felt something sharp scratch his neck. Issei tried to feel his neck to see what is causing him to gag. After feeling his neck for a few seconds, Issei felt a liquid on his hands. He looked on his hands to see that there was blood. The more he felt, the more blood would come out. Wow, ugh. So my neck takes the punishment. Issei said as he continued to gag from his neck injury. It won't always be your neck. It could be your leg, your other eye, your arms. And it won't always be just simple scratches like this. But who knows, right? But you'll probably develop some sort of resistance to it. I feel like you're repeating yourself. Issei pointed out. Sorry. Just reminding you. Now heal up your neck and let's try out your new fire ice magic powers. Issei put his hand to his neck and then a glow came from his hand. Issei was getting better at using his magic. Healing himself being a prime example. Issei soon finished healing his neck and the scratch was nowhere to be felt. Alright. You're getting better at healing yourself. But now let's try out some of your new magic. Denzel summoned a pig. Freeze this pig with your freezing flame. Freezing flame? Wonder what that is? Issei thought. Issei put his hand out and then a bluish-yellowish light came from his hand. He pointed his hand towards the pig and the magic was shot towards the pig. After 1 or 2 seconds of Issei using his freeze flame, Issei stopped. He then looked at the pig. Nice. There's one other thing I want to try. Denzel, summon another pig. Issei requested. Denzel did as Issei requested and summoned another pig. Alright, let's hope this works. If there's a freezing flame, then there's Issei once again shot out his magic towards the pig. Once the magic made impact with the pig, there was an explosion with smoke that temporarily blinded Issei. When the smoke cleared up, Issei could clearly see that was frozen in an ice cube. Alright. Looks like that worked. Issei cheered slightly. What do you mean that worked? Nothing happened. You just froze it like you did last time with your flame. Denzel criticized. Just wait. It should be happening right about now. Issei continued to look at the pig while speaking over Denzel's criticism. What? Nothing's to happen, boy. Wait. What? What were you saying, Denzel? Issei teased him. What? But that's impossible. Come on, Denzel. There's no way you've never thought of sizzling ice. If there's a freezing flame, then there's a sizzling ice. He pointed at the ice cooking the pig. Basically, it's ice that can cook food. Like meat, for example. Issei continued as he pointed at the ice that was cooking the pig. The pig was sat still in the ice while the ice was cooking it. I think just right is good. Issei got rid of the ice by using some of his fire magic. And here's the best part. When you melt the ice, you'd think that the water from the melting ice would damage the cooked food, right? Well, guess what? The food item is completely unaffected by the melting ice, meaning it is still edible. Denzel didn't know what to say. It was like Issei was a genius in disguise. It was hard to believe for Issei, but Denzel has never heard of nor thought of doing something like this. Meanwhile, Denzel was in shock. Issei was busy snacking on his cooked pork. Odd. This is fucking good. Issei was delighted with his little creation of his. Wait, I keep forgetting that God's dead. Issei reminded himself. Issei soon finished his little. Well. That was truly something to experience. It really was, wasn't it? There's something else that I've just been dying to try making. Hey Denzel, can you transfer some more of your magic to me please? Issei asked. Okay. Denzel made a link between him and Issei and then began to transfer some of his magic to him. Because Issei was now more used to magic than the first time Denzel transferred magic over to him, this time, it just felt like he had to lift a 3,000-pound anvil for a few seconds, which of course, he could now do. Phew. That just felt heavy, but that'll do. Issei was satisfied with the magic transaction. Now he just needed to try to create whatever thing he was thinking of. Drake. Has Issei told you what he plans to make yet? Denzel asked Drake. No. He has not shared anything with me on what this plan he's doing is. Drake responded. What could you possibly want to create with this magic? Something very cool. Issei responded. Issei got his magic ready for his creation. He was going to take all of his magic and put it all into 2 components. To be specific, 2 dual-wielding guns. Fire magic Issei began his ritual for his weapon. Ice magic Issei chanted the second magic that was going to be inputted into his dual-wielding weapons. Earth magic Issei knew that he would have to say all the types of magic that he wanted to put into his weapons. This was going to take a while. Saying all the types of magic was going to take a little while. And the last but final piece, merge magic itself. What? There's no way you can put in merge magic with other types of magic. Ever tried it? Issei asked the stupid question. However, to a stupid question, there is always a stupid answer. Well no, but you're really stupid, aren't you Denzel? Issei knew it was equivalent to playing with fire when it came to speaking disrespectfully to Denzel. Yahoo! Why wouldn't you try that? Well, now that I really properly think about it, there really would be no reason to try and combine merge magic with every other magic there was. So I guess that's probably why you never knew it was possible. So I guess that's my fault. Sorry Denzel. Issei apologized. So I guess it's my fault for not knowing that this was possible. You're even smarter than I thought, you know. But now you've combined all your magic. What do you do next? I use creation magic to create 2 of these. Creation. Issei's creation magic, once again like the merge magic, created a little tornado in his hands that lasted for a few seconds. Once the tornado died down, in its place were 2 gray pistols. Creative. So I guess now you just put the magic inside of both of them. Correct you are. Issei summoned back the magic he had merged all together. All the magic together just looked like a huge ball of color. All the colors of the each kind of magic that had been merged with each other, including merge magic. Issei placed his 2 pistols on the ground. Then he resummoned his magic color ball. Once he did that, he aimed the magic ball towards his 2 pistols he placed on the ground. Merge. Issei yelled as he threw his magic ball at the 2 pistols. When the magic made impact with the 2 pistols, there was a huge explosion that was even larger than the explosion that took place when Issei took the form of his Juggernaut Drive form. Issei was able to shield Arena from the explosion. I really need to get you some sort of protection, don't I? Issei reminded himself to do. As soon as the smoke cleared up, Issei looked at where his pistols were laying. His pistols got a little upgrade. Both of the pistols were no longer gray. Instead, a red and black color took the place of the gray on the pistols. Oh. The magic upgraded the pistols from gray to red and black. Cool. Wanna test them? You even have to ask. Summon me some enemies. Issei requested. Very well. I shall summon 500 fallen angels. Good luck. And go nuts. I'm gonna show no mercy against these feathered fallen freaks. Issei said with bare malice in his voice. As the fallen angels were preparing their attack, Issei began to load in his guns. At the same time that he finished, the fallen angels fired their attack. Because of Issei's amazing speed, he was easily able to dodge it. The fallen angels were shocked at his speed and how fast he was able to dodge their attack, but wasted no time preparing their next attack. Which was the last thing these fallen angels were gonna be doing. As the fallen angels prepared their next attack, Issei swooped out from the darkness of the void and pulled out his pistols and began to fire. The fallen angels didn't have any time to react as Issei began to shoot fire magic out of the guns. Issei put on a sadistic smile as he watched the fallen angels burn. He then began to shoot ice magic at them, freezing them in their place. After using ice magic for a while, he then switched to destruction magic. By shooting one fallen angel, an explosion occurred that ended up killing every fallen angel in a 100-meter radius. "God, I love these things," Issei said to no one in particular. Issei continued to use destruction magic for a good remainder of the fight. Issei was enjoying himself for the first time in a while since he found out about the supernatural and its existence. Soon the fight came to a close and there were only 2 fallen angels left. Issei began to walk towards them. They began to back away from him for they stood no chance against him. As Issei got closer, he grabbed both of their heads and bashed them against each other. The 2 fallen angels yelled in pain as they rubbed their heads from the pain. "Now that I think about it, you two do look kind of familiar. You look like those 2 fallen freaks who killed my parents." Issei snapped at the last word. He pulled out his pistols and shot one destruction bullet at each of them. They both screamed in pain because as expected, it hurt a lot for them. "Look, we're sorry for what happened to your parents, but please, just heal us if you can, and let us go." The fallen angels begged on their knees. You know what? Yeah. I will heal you." Issei shot one healing bullet at each of them, healing them completely. Thank you so much." The fallen angel was cut off as it was shot by another destruction bullet at her, almost decimating her completely along with the other one. "Just kidding. I'm not that friendly. I will kill all of your kind. Until there is nothing of your kind left," Issei said menacingly. Issei finished them off by shooting a fire bullet at both of them. Issei then watched menacingly as both of them burned into nothing. "Man. Thank you. I needed that." Issei was relieved at how much fallen angels he got to kill. That was awesome. At the same time, a bit scary. But still, that was awesome. "I agree. I loved that." Issei agreed. "Hey. Just a suggestion. Name them. Your weapons." Good idea, but what do I name them? What to name them? Denzel figured it would be a good idea for Issei to name his new weapons. Issei wandered around the void for a few seconds trying to come up with a good name. But even after a good few seconds of trying to get some names, nothing came to his mind. "I'm gonna name them later. I don't have a good name for them yet." Issei decided that he would name his weapons. "Yeah. Well, what should I do now?" Issei asked himself. "Well, I guess we can get out of here. We have no reason to stay," Issei suggested. Denzel then created a magic circle and flew himself through it, leaving Issei. "Get yourself out." Issei summoned a magic circle of his own with his hands. "Wow. I can still use magic like this. That's a shock. But a good shock." Issei walked through the magic circle. On the other side was the forest that Issei blew up but fixed later. "Good to be back. Why is it already nighttime? I guess time moves faster in that void place." Issei guessed what happened. "Well, I guess this is it for now. I'll see you in 8 months. Train your magic and your body so we can have an all-out battle. And I will give you something if you defeat me. Until then, good luck with your self-training. See you in 8 months." And with that, Denzel, along with his presence, disappeared. "Well. He's gone for now. Guess all I can do now is train. Drake, it's just you and me." Issei remarked, thinking that it was just him and Drake. "You didn't forget about us, did you?" a voice asked. Who's there? Who are you?" Issei queried the voice that spoke up a few seconds ago. "You created us just a few seconds ago. Yet you already forget." Another voice spoke up again, only this time it was louder than the first one and the voice sounded feminine. "Please show yourselves," Issei demanded. "As you wish, Lord Issei," the 2 voices said in unison. "Lord? I don't remember ever being called Lord by anyone." Issei tried to remember a time he was called Lord. Yet nothing came to mind. Right at that moment, 2 people jumped out from behind 2 different trees on the left and right of Issei. Once the 2 people landed in front of Issei, they were revealed to both be girls. They looked unmistakably like twins. Their physiques looked exactly alike. Though they both similar physiques, their personalities were 2 different stories. One girl looked emotionless like she had lost all reason to live. While the other looked like every day was the best day of her life. Both of their personalities represented a time in Issei's life. The way he is now and the way he was before he lost his parents. One was smiling and the other wasn't. Not to mention their height. If you compare them to any of the people in the orc, you could say they're definitely taller than Kaneko, but only about 1 or 2 inches shorter than Rias. Wow. That's quite an entrance. Issei applauded the two girls. Thank you so much. The two girls thanked Issei for his comment. I mean, really. That was cool. Now who are you? You both called me Lord Issei. What's that about? You created us just a few seconds ago. Issei reminded them of what they said. We don't know. Can you name us? Lord Issei said that he would come up with names for us. The emotionless girl spoke up. Okay. Name you two it is. Let's start with you, little cheerful one you are, aren't you? Issei joked. Yes, I am, Lord Issei. She said back. Okay, cheerful, cherry. I guess you're Cherry now. Issei chose the cheerful girl's name to be Cherry. Cherry. I love it, Lord Issei. Thank you so much. Cherry was so grateful to be given a name that she began to run circles around him at crazy speeds. Okay. Please calm down. Issei ordered Cherry to stop running around him. Yes, Lord Issei. Cherry stopped running around him. Alright, now for you. What to name you? You're quite one, aren't you? Issei asked the emotionless girl. She didn't reply to him. She just stared back at him for a while. Alright, you have an emotionless face, emotionless, no emotion. Man. This is hard. Emotionless, unemotional, nothing, transparent, what's transparent? Ghost. Yurei. Issei found a name for her. I'm gonna call you Yurei. That good? Issei asked. Yurei didn't say anything. She just walked up to him and hugged him tightly. Thank you. She said. Issei was both shocked and heart-warmed by the hug. It has been a while since he received a hug from somebody, so Issei hugged her back. Issei also took this moment to notice that Yurei had an eye patch just like him covering one of her eyes. Why Yurei will try not to get in Lord Issei's way. Yurei tried to assure Issei that she was not going to try to bother him a lot. So she talks in third person. It's kind of cute. Issei thought that Yurei talking in third person was kind of an adorable thing. Relax Yurei. You will not be any nuisance to me at all. Neither of you will be. Because you both are my weapons. Wait, that sounds really wrong to say, especially knowing that I'm saying it to two little girls. Are they little? Their accessories say otherwise. Wait. What the hell am I thinking? So I promise you that you will not be getting in my way at all. Issei promised. Yurei and Cherry just stared at Issei for God knows how long. Wow. I really made these two. It's like giving birth without the pain. Issei thought to himself. Not to mention they're both very cute. In many ways. It's like I have daughters that I didn't ask for. But how did I make them? What's wrong, Lord Issei? Cherry asked worryingly. Oh. Nothing. So what exactly are you two? Issei asked the two girls. We're Cherry and Yurei. And we came from you, Lord Issei. Specifically, your magic. Cherry explained. You're made from my magic. How? I don't remember making you. Issei claimed. Perhaps you'll recognize us better if we were to transform back into our regular forms. Cherry stated. Please do. Issei requested. As you wish, Lord Issei. Cherry and Yurei abided with Issei's request and began to transform. The transformation didn't take that long surprisingly. As soon as the transformation was complete, all that was left in the place of the two girls were the two pistols the Issei had previously created. Wait. What? There's absolutely no way that Issei was shocked to say the least. The pistols had been given accidental personalities. They became twin girls. They said that they came from my magic. Wait, when I added magic to the gun. That must be what created them. I mean, it's cool. But still, how did that happen? Issei thought about what was happening. Now you can recognize us, Lord Issei. Cherry spoke from Issei's mind. Cherry? Issei spoke from his mind to Cherry. Don't forget about Yurei, Lord Issei. Yurei also spoke from Issei's mind. Relax, I didn't forget about you, Yurei. Now could both of you please turn back to your human forms? Issei requested. Cherry and Yurei then turned back into their human forms. Hi. Cherry greeted. Did Lord Issei miss Yurei and Cherry? Yurei asked Issei. Yeah. To be honest, I did. Issei said honestly. He did miss them. Even though they weren't really gone. Issei just had a few more questions to ask them. He knew how they were brought to life. Now there was just a few more things he wanted to know. Hey, you two are made of magic, right? Specifically, my magic. So basically, my magic is your life force, right? And since you're made from my magic, does that mean that you have or inherit my magic too? Issei asked his questions wanting some answers. Yes, we are made from your magic. We basically rely on your magic supply to live on. Lucky for us, you're basically a huge magic tank. You just have so much magic, so we'll be fine. And yes, we do inherit your magic, Lord Issei. Cherry answered the questions Issei asked on behalf of both of them. So they have my magic too. They'll be perfect practice for my upcoming battle with Denzel. He said there is going to be a reward of some sort if I beat him. I guess I can test them on our magic. Issei thought. Alright. You two. Go up against me in a battle. One of physical strength and magic. Issei demanded. Yes, Lord Issei. Yurei and Cherry got ready for their battle with Issei. The Cult Research Club room. Aftermath. The magic portal was open to the Orc room. Coming through it were Rias, Sona, and both of their peerages. Not one of them were in a good condition. The battle with the Red Dragon Emperor really did a number on them. Even though he didn't physically attack them, most of them passed out from the extreme aura of the Juggernaut Drive. Some got hit by the explosion, and, Sona, did you get everyone from your peerage out of there? Rias asked. Yes. I can confirm that my entire peerage is here. What about you? Sona asked back. Yes. Everyone is safe. Rias felt relieved that everyone made it back. What was that? That was the Welsh Dragon Juggernaut Drive chant. Rias thought. Rias? Are you okay? Sona asked Rias, who was deep in her head think about the previous event. Why yes. I'm fine. I'll report this to my brother. Make sure that everyone gets some rest. They'll need it after what happened today. When Rias finished her little conversation with Sona, she opened a magic circle and went to tell her brother the news. What was that? That was the Red Dragon Emperor. He's already so powerful. To be able to unlock Juggernaut Drive already. How much more power could he want? I guess only time will tell. But know this, Red Dragon Emperor. If you dare try to hurt anyone in my peerage or those close to me again, I will make sure that you fall. Sona said, looking at her peerage resting in the Orc Sirzich's office. Sirzich's was sat down in his chair doing some paperwork. The only reason he was doing it is because Grafia was making him do it. And because he couldn't be trusted alone for second, Grafia was standing right beside him and always looking over him. Making sure he was doing the paperwork. Oh, Satan. Grafia, I love you, but why do you always make me do so much paperwork? Sirzich's groaned in boredom as he continued to do the paperwork. Because every time I leave, you're doing something other than paperwork. Whether it be, sleeping, calling someone. You always find a way to not be doing your paperwork. Hence, why I'm here looking over you. Grafia explained. Sirzich's knew that he had a problem when it came to not doing the stacks and stacks of paperwork he had to do. He's like a school student that procrastinates on almost everything whenever it came to doing schoolwork or studying for exams. Grafia also sees this as a problem. She also figured that having someone like herself watch over him would be a good idea. But there's so much. How can I get all this done? Sirzich's was frustrated at the amount of paperwork he had to do. As Sirzich's was about to continue ranting about not doing his paperwork, a magic circle opened in the office. And what came through was Rias. Most of her clothes were ripped and she had a few scratches on her face, arms and legs. Rias? What happened? Grafia ran to her as she was about to collapse. Rias? Who did this to you? Sirzich's snapped. Sirzich's didn't play around when it came to his sister. Our Red Dragon Emperor, Rias muttered. What? Did he do this to you? Sirzich's asked. He is our enemy. And with that, Rias passed out from her injuries. Time skip. 1 day later. ER, meaning emergency room. It's been a day since Rias passed out. Sirzich's has been worried sick about everyone he sent on the mission. He thinks that because of him, his sister and her peerage could have died. Not only Rias, but he also sent Sona and her peerage on the mission as well. If Serafal found out that Sirzich's sent her little sister on a mission that she could have died from, he knew that regardless of Serafal's condition, she would never let him hear the end of it. Grafia, is it my fault? Sirzich's asked with his head down. Grafia didn't answer. I know you're disappointed in me. I let them go on this mission not considering the dangers or the worst that could happen. Sirzich's moved his head up to see that Grafia wasn't even listening because she was sleeping. Thank Satan, she's asleep. Sirzich's felt some relief knowing that Grafia didn't hear him admit it was his fault. I'm just closing my eyes, I'm not asleep. And yes. I am disappointed in you. Grafia admitted while still resting her eyes. As I thought. Sirzich's put his head back down in shame. Sirzich's and Grafia little conversation came to an end when they heard little moans come from the hospital bed. Isay's eyes started to open as she finished her dream. What is it, brother? Rias asked, still tired. Sirzich's looked at Grafia with a smile on his face. Rias had a little crush. Grafia looked back at Sirzich's with a smile as well. What happened? Rias wondered why Sirzich's and Grafia were looking at each other like they were. Let's get to talking. Rias. Sirzich's suggested that Rias explain what happened on the mission. Right. So we first got there, we were in a forest. I thought that was weird, but I didn't really care. After a few minutes of walking through the forest. We found nothing. I thought about turning back since I felt like we were being watched. But then I felt like I was blinded. I don't know if it happened to everyone else. You'll have to ask them. Then I felt like I was asleep. But at the same time, I wasn't. I felt like someone was playing with my head and my emotions at the same time. After I woke up, I saw that people were passing out. I assumed they had the same thing that happened to me happen to them. But after that, someone in a cloak appeared. He then turned someone into chicken. And then ate them. After that the cloaked man told me to call the person significant other, which I did. But after that, we began to fight him. We all unleashed our attacks, but they didn't even seem to faze him. He then started to say the chant to the Juggernaut Drive. After that we retreated. With our injuries and how little our attacks affected him, we couldn't take him on. And now we're here. Rias finished her explanation of what happened on the mission. Very interesting. Grafia was intrigued by what happened. Being as intrigued she was, she decided to ask a question. Rias put her attention on Grafia. Who did you say did this to you again? Grafia questioned Rias. He didn't give us his name, and I couldn't see much because he was wearing cloak, but I think he was the Red Dragon Emperor. Rias hesitated with her answer. Red Dragon Emperor? So I guess he's a dangerous one, he's already unlocked his Juggernaut Drive. And now he's making himself known. Sasukeuchiha was surprised to hear it was the Red Dragon Emperor that caused the injuries. Alright. Thank you for talking, Rias. You and Sona have both done a good job. I'll send someone else out to do more investigating. Sasukeuchiha thanked her sister for her cooperation as he and Grafia left the leaving Rias to rest and heal from her injuries. As Sasukeuchiha and Grafia left Rias' emergency room, they were both thinking to themselves about how dangerous the Red Dragon Emperor was. When they got back to Sasukeuchiha's office, Grafia asked what she should now. Your Majesty, what shall I do? Grafia asked formally. I will send someone else later when I find someone else suitable for the mission. Until then, let's not let anybody know what happened today. Sasukeuchiha answered Grafia. Yes, Your Majesty. Grafia left via magic circle as her question was answered. Until then, watch yourself, Red Dragon Emperor. We will get you. The forest battle. Isay was running around dodging shots like his life depended on it. Which it did. Yurei and Cherry weren't playing around, neither was Isay. They were basically almost the same in physical and magical strength. But Isay upped them by only a little bit. If this isn't a sign he needs to get Is Lord Isay scared of Cherry and Yurei? Yurei taunted while shooting fireballs at the tree he was standing behind. The fireball of course hit the tree and blew it up to basically nothing. Isay began to run again. This was fun for him and for them. Isay got to see how strong they were individually and they got to show off how strong they were to him. Come on, Lord Isay. Enough magic, let's settle this with our fists. Cherry suggested. Alright, I'll take on both of you. Now. Come at me. Isay yelled as began to speed his way towards them with his fist in front of him. He aimed for Cherry first as she was the closest. He was now within a meter next to her. So he put his fist up and to land a punch on her stomach. Cherry went flying a few meters because of the punch. And her landing was not a soft one. She got herself back up again within seconds and began fighting again. She has strong self-healing. As expected of her. Isay thought. You have very good self-healing. As expected of you, Cherry. Now hit me with everything you got. Isay commanded her. Thank you for the kind words, Lord Isay. I shall not hold back, even if you are my owner. Cherry asserted herself as she prepared her attack. She wasn't going to hold back. Prepare yourself, Lord Isay. Here I come. Cherry launched herself at him. Isay didn't move. So you're not even trying to dodge my attack. You better have something up your sleeve, Lord Isay. Cherry thought as she continued to charge herself at Isay. As Cherry was about to land her attack, Isay put his hand in front of him. Catching Cherry's fist only an inch away from his face. There was a little explosion when Isay caught her fist. All the smoke was blinding them both, so Isay cleared it up. That was very powerful, Cherry. A very powerful punch indeed. I almost didn't catch it. Heal yourself and rest for now. Cherry felt happy that Isay was impressed with her magic and her physical capabilities. Thank you, Lord Isay. Cherry thanked Isay as she slumped herself onto the ground and began to sleep. Thus ending the battle between them. As for her healing, her body would do that on its own, like Isay's body did. Alright, Yurei. It's your turn. Isay called out to Yurei trying to get her to come out for her fight, she didn't listen. It was like she completely vanished. Yurei? Isay asked scared of where she was. Yurei wasn't answering to his calls. For all Isay knew, she could be anywhere. Pure silence is what it was for a good minute. Isay kept his guard up as he did not know how strong Yurei was. Man. Where is she? This is the way she fights. Isay was complaining about how long it was taking for Yurei to attack. All of a sudden, Isay saw something at the corner of eye. At speed that was faster than light, Isay turned around. But saw nothing. Fuck. I was baited. Isay turned around and saw Yurei speeding towards him. As Yurei speeded closer to him, Isay managed to barely dodge her attack. But the attacks didn't stop there. Yurei immediately got back to throwing fast punches, throwing in a kick every once in a while. Isay continued to dodge her punches and kicks. She just didn't seem to stop anytime soon. Issei had to do something or else this fight would last forever. Issei quickly backed away from her and got some ground. Yurei wasn't going to stop her attack, so Issei was going to use that to his advantage. Yurei was going in for an attack. It was now Issei's time to strike. She's going to attack from the left. Therefore, I should attack her right meanwhile dodging her left-sided attack. Issei went in to attack her right, but then noticed something was off. Yurei wasn't attacking her left, she was attacking her right. The right side is what Issei was going for, and he expected her to attack from her left. What? Issei thought in a weirdly calm manner. Lord Issei didn't forget that he can read minds, can he? Yurei and Sherry can also read minds like Lord Issei. Yurei take to Issei from his head. I see. Then I'll just Issei cut off what he was saying as he landed a kick on the left side of Yurei's chest. Because it was unexpected, Yurei took quite a fly from the kick. And like Cherry, her landing wasn't the softest. What? But how? Yurei groaned as she held her chest. No, Yurei. I didn't forget I could read minds. I knew that you would read my mind and figure out where I was aiming for. So what I did was I read your mind before you read mine. That's how I figured out that you were going to switch up where you attacked from. I then waited for you to finish faking out your attack from your left and switch to your real plan. That's when I decided to execute my real plan as well. Issei explained his entire analysis of the ending of the battle. Wow. Lord Issei is amazing. Yurei admired. Don't me too much credit. Now come on. Issei helped her off of the ground and healed her up. Thank you. Yurei giggled as Issei gave her a pat on the head. 1 a.m. Usually, I don't stay up this late. But because of the battle with you two, you both did good by the way, I'm way up past my sleep time. Issei complained. Usually I eat, then I go to sleep. I guess I should give you both some food. Here. Issei summoned a huge roasted pork chop for them to share. Cherry and Yurei each took huge pieces because they were both super hungry. It's so good. Cherry screamed at how good the pork tasted. Delicious. Yurei agreed with her twin. It didn't take long for them both to finish the entire pork chop in a matter of minutes. Alright, last thing before we go to sleep, you two are going to help me. You're going to help me steal all the Excaliburs. Issei began. Oh yeah. It's like a holy sword that contains holy magic, right? And getting it would not only mean you get to make a more powerful sword, but it would also mean that you could claim some of its holy magic and make yourself an infinite source of holy magic, right? Cherry guessed what Issei was trying to do. Wow. I never thought about obtaining holy magic. That's a good idea. I bet I can get some demonic magic from a devil if I can. Good idea, Cherry. Issei gave Cherry a head pat. So that's my plan, but first, we need to get a bit more stronger. I'll take you to the place after we sleep. So will you help me? Issei asked them. Of course. After all, Lord Issei plans to become the most powerful in the entire world. Yurei agreed to help Issei on both of their behalf. Alright. Get some sleep. Because when we wake up, we're going to be training non-stop. Issei declared. Yes, Lord Issei. Chapter 7. My Excalibur. Time skip. Issei's POV. 4 months later. So it's been a while since I said that I would make an even more powerful sword than the original Excalibur. Let me share the highlights within this 4-month time period. So first, I introduced Cherry and Yurei to the void. Wow. It's so dark in here. Cherry yelled. Yurei likes it in here. Yurei said unenthusiastically. Yeah, this is where we'll be training most of the time. Issei stated as he began to shoot huge rocks at them. The training starts now. Prepare yourselves. Issei yelled. Yes, Lord Issei. Cherry and Yurei said in unison. And since time moves faster or slower, I don't remember which it is, when we came back after training for what felt like 6 days straight, I forgot what day it was. Not only that, but Cherry pointed out something that should have been obvious to me. Wow, Lord Issei. You're so tall. That's right. Apparently my height's been increasing ever since I met Denzel. Late bloomer shit, I guess. So I asked Drake to tell me how tall I was. Hey Drake. You there? Can you measure my height please? Issei asked. Sure. Wait a second. I waited a few seconds for an answer. After a few seconds, I heard him start to laugh. I was now confused. Drake, everything okay in there? Issei asked. Oh. Nothing. It's just, how tall you are is hilarious. Alright. You are 8 feet 4 in. I began to laugh thinking that Drake was just kidding around. Come on Drake. That's not funny. Give me my actual height please. Issei demanded thinking Drake was joking about his height. That is your height. 8 feet 4 in. Drake stated once more. I now went from the state of confusion to shock. I looked down at Yurei and Cherry. Wow. You two are like babies to me. Issei teased. Oh well. Please don't treat us differently just because you're super tall now. Cherry pleaded like a kid who wanted some candy. Relax. Me being tall won't affect the way I treat you or anyone. Got it. I picked both of them up and sat them on my shoulders. I guess my strength increased even more too because I felt like I could carry them for months. Screw months, I could go years. Besides everything else that happened, I remembered what today specifically was. So I put Cherry and Issei down. Fire, ice, darkness, water, all the magic I called out was now combined into a magic ball. I then shot the ball upwards to the sky. Although I wanted to make a magic ball, I didn't want to make it as big as I did. I mean, that magic ball was about the size of Pluto. Holy shit. You two. Get down. Issei yelled, pushing them to the ground. After the ball took off into the sky, it started going faster. Then after a while, when I felt like it was far enough from the ground, I snapped my fingers and then the huge magic ball exploded. It was kind of like fireworks. Wow. Pretty. Cherry stared in awe as all the different colors came raining down from the sky. Issei didn't seem to like it as much as Cherry. The reason why I did that was because it was my birthday. I had totally forgot. All I did was turn 17. Nothing really special. Happy birthday, Lord Issei. Cherry cheered for me turning 17. I totally forgot they could read minds too. HMPH. Thank you, Cherry. I chuckled. Anyway, I continued training with them for another good while. As for Irina, I've been keeping her in my cloak, making sure that I feed her daily. And then after 1 month of training it happened, I figured out how to completely revive someone. So I decided to test it out on my parents. I remembered where I buried them for this occasion especially. So I dug them up, brought them back to the house, which I fixed up a while ago, and put them on the couch. Cherry, Issei. Hold them up. Issei commanded. Yes, Lord Issei. They responded, holding them up by their arms. Perfect. Before I revived them, I decided to put back on my regular clothes. Otherwise it was gonna look suspicious. As for my height, I improvised for that part. I told Issei and Cherry to hide in my mind with Drag so they wouldn't be seen. Revive. That's really all there was to it. Just a spell that no one thinks is possible. After I chanted the spell, it took a few seconds, but they finally woke up. Yes. It worked. Issei shed a tear at seeing his parents alive again. Mom? Dad? Isn't time to make dinner? Issei asked. They both looked at the time and saw that it was 8 p.m. They both began to yell at each other for some odd reason. Whoa. Relax. I already made it. No need to argue. Issei said as he guided them to the table. Oh, it looks good. Goro spoke. Just relax. You've both been hard at work. You both are always working so hard. Please take time to enjoy the dinner I made for you. Issei pushed in their chairs and then got back up. Which apparently was a mistake. Wow. Issei. What happened to your voice? And your height? And your eye? Nikki asked with worry in her voice. Crap, I thought they weren't going to ask about that. But I already had my excuse. Late bloomer, and I scratched my eye really bad. Trust me, you don't want to see it. Issei explained to his worried mother. Well, the first two make sense. You were always a late bloomer, and your height. You could scare some people with how tall you Issei. Be careful. And if your eye's that awful, we'll take your word for it. Goro said. As for what happened after that, I just told them that I have some stuff to do, they can call me if they need me, I might be home late some nights, if not come home at all, they can call me, and they didn't even ask any questions. So I left with my cloak on and with Irina inside it. We then went back into the void. And while we were training, I remembered something. Flashback. Hey, Sona-chan. Sona knew who that voice was. It was her sister Seraphil. One of the 4 great Satans. But Sona knew Seraphil to be just like Issei used to be. She would always play around and joke around with her sister whenever she didn't have anything to do as one of the 4 great Satans. But this was different. Seraphil had been sent on mission by herself to deal with the Cows Brigade, and the end result was that she was used as an experiment by them. The Cows Brigade, led by Office, were wanting to create a spell that could give dragons a disease called that could kill them in a matter of seconds. Seraphil ended up as the unfortunate test subject. The spell was only supposed to work on dragons, but because Seraphil was a devil and it worked on her, this experiment was deemed a fail. The spell left Seraphil with a very bad disease that became known in the underworld as Devil's Downfall. It was like any other sickness. Except 100 times worse. For over 2 years, people have been trying to come up with treatments for it. There are currently treatments for it. But it was too late for Seraphil. The disease had already spread throughout most of her body. Most of her body was paralyzed and she could barely talk. So, for Sona, hearing her sister talk was something that struck a lot of her nerves. Oh, Wani-sama. Sona barely managed to get out. She was about to start crying. I am fine. Don't worry about me. Don't cry. Seraphil assured her sister. Flashback end. I remembered Sona's sister and that she was suffering from something from the Cows Brigade or something. I decided that I would pay her a visit. So after I trained with Cherry and Urei for a few days in the void, don't remember how many, I told them I would be going on a little mission for myself. They seemed sad when I told them that I didn't want them to interfere. But I told them I would be rewarding them for not interfering. So I kept them in pistol form and went on a side quest. Seraphol's emergency room. Her sister's room was heavily guarded by devils. I didn't want to have to kill anyone that day. But if it came down to it, I would. I approached the room carefully, and since the guards were looking towards the other side, they wouldn't be expecting anyone to be entering from their opposite side. As I approached her room, the guards turned around and spotted me. But the way they went about it was so wrong. So hey, I was interrupted by one of the guards starting to yell. Sound the alarm. There's an intruder in the hospital. The guard yelled. All of a sudden there was this really loud alarm that started to ring throughout the entire hospital. I covered my ears because of how loud it was. After a few seconds I slowly removed my hands from my ears and pulled out my pistols at the guards. There used to be just 2, now there were about 1,000. What's going on outside? Seraphol muttered loud enough for her sister to hear. Nothing to worry about, Wani-sama. Please just stay where you are. Sona tried to reassure her safety. After a few seconds, surveillance of the hallway began to play throughout all of the rooms in the hospital, including Seraphol's. No way. It's Sona muttered so her sister wouldn't hear. Surzich's was in his office with Rias and her peerage. They were paying a visit to Seraphol. It was a shock for them when the hospital alarm began to ring throughout the hospital. The surveillance of the hallway was broadcasted to Surzich's office. Rias and her peerage were able to instantly recognize who it was. Red Dragon Emperor. Rias hissed his name. Surzich's immediately opened a magic circle and everyone ran through it in a rush. Once they got to the other side, all the guards let them through while still holding back their magic ready to shoot. I, obviously, was the same. I was seemingly surrounded, but not really. What I could have done was kill each and every one of these freaks where they were standing. But I didn't come here to start a war. Red Dragon Emperor. I was called out. I turned around to see what looked to be Rias and her entire peerage. But it wasn't her that called out my name. It was the man in front of her. I am Surzich's Lucifer, one of the 4 great Satans. May I ask what you are doing here? Surzich's voice echoed off the walls of the hospital, despite there being around 1,000 devil guards in the area. What have I gotten myself into? I thought. This was one of the worst case scenarios I had in my head. Usually, worst case scenarios don't happen often. Surzich's, if you will, I suggest that you tell these guards to stop their magic, for I have not come here to fight. I started off. I'm afraid I can't tell them to do that, for we don't know your true motives of coming here. He responded. I guess that was reasonable. I'm an 8-foot-tall guy wearing a cloak to cover myself. Knowing I had nothing to hide, I decided to tell them my true motives. How is Seraphol doing? I asked. Everyone seemed to be shocked that I knew. That was because they were keeping this a secret from the entire underworld. No one except the higher-ups knew. How do you know? Surzich's asked. Not too good, I bet. I decided to tease them a little, but that didn't go to good. One of the guards fired magic at me. I dodged it and then shot them in both of their legs 6 times each. The guard screamed in pain as Held fell to the ground holding both of his legs. Now, unless you want what just happened to him to happen to the rest of you, listen to me. I'm not here to fight. I put my pistols back in my pocket. So what did you come here for? Kaneko asked me. I have come to do what you dumbasses can't. I'm gonna relieve Seraphol of her sickness. Everyone was taken back by what I said. Someone opened the door to her room and closed it. As expected, it was Sona. Stop joking around. Who do you think you are, claiming that you can heal her? Sona yelled out of anger at me. Why was everyone angry at me? I can heal her. It might be hard to believe, but please just trust me. I tried to make them just do what I came here to do. Bring a guard with me if you don't trust me. I know you want her back, so just let me heal her. It seemed that I had gotten through to some of them. But most of them still didn't trust me alone with her. Alright. We'll trust you. Red Dragon Emperor. But do anything suspicious and we'll have to get rid of you. One way or another. Surzich's promised. It's probably likely that you've already put a bounty on my head. But okay. I agreed with what they said and I entered the room. Despite most of them not trusting me, none of them followed me in the room. And I closed the door behind me. Seraphol began to open her eyes slightly as I made my way over to her. And by the way, if you try anything strange, we have video proof of that, got it? Surzicha said through the hospital's PA, public address, system. Yeah, I got it. I responded back. Who are you? Seraphol whispered because that was all she could do. I'm the Red Dragon Emperor. I told her. I'm here to relieve you of your sickness. Oh really? She struggled to say. Just relax. I will heal you. I promised her. Okay. PP please do. She said with a little cough in between. Alright, I can finally begin. So I began by removing her bed blanket, which exposed her completely naked body. She tried to cover herself up with her hands, but only ended up hurting herself. It's okay. I'm not going to do anything to you. I put her back down on the hospital bed, then I put my hand to her head. Just relax and think of the person you love the most. I said in my most relaxing tone. She nodded and then closed her eyes. After that, a light shined throughout the whole room. The light dimmed itself down after a few seconds and revealed Seraphol's face to have no scratches and also got rid of the bags under her eyes. Alright, that was your face, now for everywhere else. I began to slowly traverse my hand down from her head to her stomach. In the process of doing so, I ended up touching her breasts. Which made her moan a little. I ignored it and continued to her stomach. This time all I told her to do was close her eyes. After she did, I snapped my fingers. All of the germs, infections and wounds that Seraphol got on her body began to disappear. Everyone in the camera system stared in awe as all of her injuries just disappeared like it was nothing. How do you feel? I asked her. Ugh. I feel weird. I feel clean. I don't feel sick anymore. I feel good and energetic. Seraphol yelled, putting her arms up, but then she remembered that she was naked. Ah. She screamed, covering herself. Everyone on the camera system smiled in relief. As for me, I decided that it was time for me to go. So I snapped my fingers and then a light blinded the entire room. Once the light dimmed down, it was pretty clear to see that I was gone. But I left her with a little gift. Huh? What's this? What I left was a box on her lap that contained 4 objects inside. One of them being a voice recording. Curious, she took out the voice recording and played it. Voice recording. Hey Seraphol. This is a voice recording. Obviously you're probably wondering what's all these things in the box. Let me start with a medicine bottle. This bottle contains pills that made by yours truly. They're there for you, take them at least once a day for a week if you feel anything weird. After that, you can stop taking them if you want. Next is that thing that was next to it. Seraphol picked it up. That's what I like to call Infinicash. Basically, it does what it says. Just click the trigger and a bunch of money will come shooting out of it. And it's exclusive for your use only. All you have to do is lock it with your fingerprint. There are instructions wrapped around it on how to do that. But it has limit uses. Only 3 uses per day. But you can shoot it for 12 hours at a time. As for the last thing, that's a little manufacturing building that I made in a little box. Make sure you open that box when you're in an open space. The industrial building is supposed to manufacture the cure I made for Devil's Downfall. That's right. I made a cure for it. And the little building in your hand helps you make more. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Hope you get better from here, and peace. The voice recording ends there. Voice recording ends, and that's it. I don't know what they did from there, but I don't care. Time skipped to a few days ago. Up until a few days ago, I was only training my magic. So from that day all the way to now, I've been trying to include more body exercises to help tone the rest of my body. It's been going pretty well so far. My arms, legs, chest and abs all look toned as hell. Like I had plastic surgery. Lord Issei's body looks cool. Issei commented. Thank you for the comment, Issei. I thanked her. You look a lot more scary than before, Lord Issei. Cherry also commented. Thank you, Cherry. I patted Cherry on her head. Alright. Now I plan to do what I've been planning to do for the last few months. But first, I decided to have a few moments with Arena. So I let her out of my cloak and let her roam free for a while. I also figured out how to use creation magic to make whatever I want. So I summoned a couple hundred carrots and laid them on the floor for her to snack on. She was going crazy like I hadn't been feeding her enough. Eventually, she ended up eating up all the carrots. Which shocked me. After that I'm assuming she fainted from eating too much as she still had a pulse. I put back in my cloak and let her rest. Finally, it was time to do it. I had been preparing for this, well not really. But I felt like I was strong enough. If I wanted to, I could snap my fingers and kill everyone on Earth. So killing a few angels and exorcists should make no difference to me. Of course, I brought along my favorite weapons, Cherry and Issei. And we are now off. No one's POV. Isay walked through the magic circle that led him to the gates of heaven. Well, I should probably make myself invisible. That would really help. Issei made himself invisible, completely sealing his presence from everyone and everything. It was a good thing that Issei sealed his presence before he entered. Because when he entered, in the first heaven were a lot of what looked to be a lot of angels. This was heaven's frontline defenses. Issei traversed his way through all the angels whilst he looked around for some of the Excalibur fragments. All he knows is that some of them are locked away in a room somewhere in one of the heavens. Greg said there were seven heavens. Man. I should have done some research on some of the fragments were. I know that 3 of them are wielded by somebody, but that's all I know. Looks like I might have to do some threatening to get my information today. Issei spoke to himself in his mind. Issei continued to look for the fragments on the first heaven. But didn't find anything. Issei decided to move on to the second heaven. But before he did, he snapped his fingers hoping to scare everyone on the front lines. But ended up killing more than he planned. There were now between 1,000 to 2,000 dead angels laying on the ground. Oh shit. Sorry. Issei yelled as he zoomed into the second heaven. Sound the alarm. When the angels yelled. Like what happened at the hospital, a super loud alarm began to ring everywhere throughout all the heavens. For fuck's sake. Why does everywhere I go have an alarm? Issei yelled to himself. Issei decided he had no reason not be seen and took off his invisibility and pulled a Ure and Cherry in their pistol form. All of the angels that caught eye of him as he revealed himself. He began to sprint away from the absolute monstrosity of angels chasing him. He was chased all throughout the second to fourth heaven and he eventually stopped running when he got to the fifth heaven. There he found a bunch of leftover research. Since he heard no one chasing him, he decided that he would check it out. If he was lucky, maybe he would find one of the Excaliburs locked somewhere. After looking for what seemed like a few minutes, he found nothing. Just bunch of experiments that failed long ago. Out of mere frustration, Issei threw something that revealed a secret door. Haha. I'm not original I know, Issei opened it and it led it to somewhere downstairs. It didn't take long for him to make it down there. There was almost no light, if not, no light at all. Issei tried feeling around for a light switch. Luckily, he found one. The light revealed a lot of books and tubes to be on the ground. But it also revealed a couple of stasis chambers. Inside those stasis chambers were four of the Excaliburs. Excalibur rapidly, nightmare, blessing and transparency. Yes. Finally. Fucking jackpot. Issei broke the stasis chambers with his pistols and then took all the Excaliburs and put them in a pouch he made for them. He went down here. This way. Issei heard one of the angels yell. Shit, I need to get out of here. Issei began to open up a magic circle. There he is. Stop right there. The angels threw holy spears made of light at Issei. They all hit him, but in terms of damaging him, they did absolutely nothing. That's all you've got. Weak. I've already got what I need. Later. Issei yelled as he hopped through the magic circle. The magic circle closed behind him. All of the angels were frustrated at not only him, but themselves. They were upset that they weren't able to detect when he entered or when he was at the gates. But that aside, if he were to come back, it would become a big issue. Report this to Michael and Gabriel. I'll warn all the exorcists to be careful if they see him. All the angels nodded and went off to warn Michael of the Red Dragon Emperor and if he might return. As for Isay, he was already on the lookout for exorcists that might be wielding the last of the 2 out of 3 he was going to need. He first thought of checking some of the churches that were nearby his house. It just made sense to him for some reason. As he was approaching one of the churches, he stopped for a moment to pull out his pistols again. Yep, they're here all right. Issei approached the church with his weapons in hand. He busted down the door but found no one. Upon walking through the doors, he could see that the Excalibur Destruction and the Excalibur Mimic were placed next to one of the sitting benches. Well, that was a lot easier than I thought. Issei said as he picked them up and put them in his pouch. Stop right there. A random voice yelled. Two women wearing white cloaks with green stripes came out of a room. I told you we should have taken them with us. One of them said frustrated. I didn't think someone would take them. By the way, who are you? The other asked as she pointed her finger at me. I'm the Red Dragon Emperor. Issei intimidated them with how deep his voice went when he said that. Wait, you're the Red Dragon Emperor? Weren't we told to look out for you? One of the women asked. Yeah, probably. Well, you failed. Thank you for lending me your Excaliburs. I can assure you they're in the worst hands they could possibly be in. Issei teased them as he exited the church via magic circle with both of their fragments. Only needing one more. Report this to everyone and warn them the Red Dragon Emperor has ill intentions with the Excalibur fragments. One of the women yelled at the other. The other nodded in response and they both got going to report what happened to their higher-ups. The forest. Isay was now back at the forest. He took all the Excaliburs to see if they actually were the 6 out of 7 Excaliburs that he needed. He was able to confirm it with Drake by showing him the shape of each sword. What about this one? Issei asked Drake about the Excalibur transparency in his hand. Yep. That's it alright. I was surprised you were able to get them all so easily. Drake praised Issei for being able to obtain all of the Excalibur fragments in just a span of a few hours. I mean it wasn't hard, just stressful. I don't think my heart's ever beat that fast before. Issei put back the Excalibur fragments into his pouch. Okay. Now. Where could the last one be? Drake, do you know who wields it now? Issei asked Drake about the last Excalibur fragment. This is just a guess, but maybe someone from the Cows Brigade wields it. Drake guessed. Oh fuck me. Those dicks. You mean I have to go over there to get it? Issei complained about not wanting to go find where the Cows Brigade resided. Hate to bring up more bad news, but the Cows Brigade is not just one race of people, the group consists of multiple races. Devils, fallen angels, humans, even a couple of angels. Drake explained to Issei. Well, no time to waste. Guess I better head over there to see if I can find them. Issei used his magic circle to transport himself to the underworld. Issei took the flight approach and began to fly above the entire underworld. Kind of nice here. Issei snapped his fingers and then a bakery exploded, causing a fire to spread throughout not only the bakery but the entire district. Whoops. Should I fix it? Nah, they're good. Issei began to fly over the destruction he caused to get a better look at it. Instead of helping, Issei decided to make the fire bigger. And that's what he did. The fire began to spread to houses and the forest that was near. Issei didn't even want to guess how many people he had killed by now. It's probably best if I leave. Issei began to speed off elsewhere. I feel like I should start laughing maniacally like a villain or something. Issei didn't end up doing it. He continued to fly looking over to see if he could find anything. He eventually found this building. It was pretty much run down and looked to be uninhabitable. Issei entered the rundown building. And the building just looked dirty on the outside. On the inside, it actually looked like a place only the richest of people live in. I guess that's just what it looked like on the outside. Let's see if I can find that wielder of Telast fragment. I'll kill him or her if I have to. Issei continued looking around inside the building trying to find someone inside. After going deeper into the building, he heard a few voices that sounded like they were conversating with each other. So he ghosted himself up, hid his presence, and flew himself into the room. He's not going to get mad, Biku. You worry too much. An unknown voice spoke up sounding drunk. Wait, where have I seen this person before? Issei's thought process for this took a while as he was trying to remember where he had seen her before. After a good while, it came to him. Oh yeah. That's Kaneko's sister. Wasn't she scared of her for some reason? I don't see why. She looks weak to me. Then again, everybody looks weak to me, don't they? Issei thought. Ugh, come on Kuroka, you know how Valerie gets when you drink like that. She gets mad, plus we have a meeting with Office today. Remember? Biku reminded the drunk black cat. Office? Who's that? Issei asked particularly no one. Office, the Infinity Dragon God, the Ouroboros dragon, and one of the strongest existences. She is also the leader of the Cows Brigade. Drake explained. What's all the noise? A woman with white hair came into the room. Issei, reveal your presence and unghost yourself please. Drake requested. Sure. Issei unghosted himself and revealed his presence. All of a sudden, there was a very heavy presence in the air. Everybody in the room was able to feel it. Everybody now had their guard up for they didn't know who they were dealing with. After this, a man wearing glasses and a girl who looked to be a magician ran into the room and also began to suffocate themselves. What's happening? The magician girl yelled. It's been a while hasn't it been, Albion? Drake spoke up. It's been a while Drake. Valerie activated her balance breaker, preparing to fight. As did everyone else. Vanishing dragon, balance breaker. Albion cried. That's nice. You have your balance breaker. But I have not come to fight. Issei assured them as he made himself known by revealing himself. Everyone else was now terrified because of how big he was and how he sounded. Everyone, including Valerie, backed up from him. Bet you weren't expecting a visit from me today, weren't you? Issei joked. What do you want? Valerie asked angrily. No need to get mad, I just need one thing. But before that, let's introduce ourselves. You go first. Issei pointed at them. I'll start. I am Valerie Lucifer. A descendant of the original Lucifer and this generation's White Dragon Empress. Valerie began. I'm Kuroka. I'm a Nekashu. Kuroka said. I'm Arthur Pendragon and this is my sister LaFay Pendragon. Arthur introduced him and his sister. I'm Biku. And I'm Monkey. I'm sorry. I had to do it. It says on the wiki that he's a monkey. So, Biku introduced himself. Alright. See. That wasn't so hard. Issei sat down on the floor while they all still had their weapons pointing at him. You've chosen an interesting host I see, Drake. A very strong one too. Albion commented. I see that you also have an interesting host too. Drake commented. Okay. Now that all the small talk's out of the way. Arthur, was it? You have something I need. Issei pointed at Arthur while making his statement. If it's my sister. You'll have to fight me to have her. Arthur got in his battle stance. No. I don't want your sister. It's that sword. I want it. Issei put his hand out and the sword began to magnetically fly out of Arthur's hands and into Issei's. Well, that's all I came looking for. Later. Issei started to walk out of the building. Wait. You didn't give us your name. Valerie mentioned. Issei stood there for a few seconds staring at her. Before giving her his name. Issei Hyoudou. Don't forget it, Lucifer. For our day will come. Issei lowered his tone for that sentence, which sent shivers up everyone's spines. By the way, Valerie? Issei asked. What is it? Valerie asked. Make sure you wear clothes. They keep you warm and cover yourself from others. Issei said as he pointed at her. What do you mean? Valerie shrieked as she realized that she wasn't wearing anything except her panties. Don't look, you perverts. Valerie yelled at everyone in the room. What did you do with my clothes? Valerie paused her sentence as she looked at Issei swinging around her bra with his index finger while holding all her clothes in the other hand. PP pervert, Valerie whispered. Not gonna lie, Valerie. You have a nice rack on you. Issei said, obviously talking about her breasts. As for you, Kuroka. Your sister. You might wanna say sorry to her. She's scared of you, you know. She has nightmares about you. Issei stated. Kuroka ran up to Issei and grabbed him by his cloak. Where is she? What did you do to her? Kuroka asked with obvious anger in her voice. Issei calmed her down by patted her on the head. Relax. I didn't do anything to hurt her. Are these ears real or fake? Issei transitioned his hands from her head to her ears and began to pull on them to see if they would come off. No. Stop. They're real. Kuroka moaned as Issei continued to pull on her ears. Are you sure? Cause they look fake to me. Issei began to make her levitate by pulling even harder on her ears. Yes. They're real. Please stop. They're my weak points. I'm gonna. Kuroka screamed out of pleasure. Okay. If you're sure. Issei finally let her down. Also. You also might want to find some clothes. Issei said as he began to walk out. Kuroka looked around before realizing that just like Valerie, she also didn't have anything on except her panties. Oh well. You should have taken my panties too. Kuroka teased him. Maybe next time I will. Issei threw a grin Kuroka's way whilst also throwing Valerie and Kuroka their clothes. He then suddenly disappeared. The Red Dragon Emperor's a weird person. LaFay commented. He sure is. He looks strong too. He'll definitely give Valerie a run for her money. Biku also commented. SSS shut up. WW will tell office about our encounter with the Red Dragon Emperor. Valerie stated. Everyone nodded and got back to getting ready for their Cows Brigade meeting. The void. Finally. We made it back. That was an adventure and a half. Issei yelled excited for what he planned. Issei was finally going to do what Drake had suggested for a long time. Cherry and Urei returned to their human form. Wow. These swords look cool. Cherry grabbed the Excalibur transparency and immediately went invisible. Cherry. Please give that back. It's not a toy. I need that. Issei said, sounding annoyed. Sorry, Lord Issei. Cherry pouted as she gave back the Excalibur transparency. Don't worry. It's not your fault. Issei patted Cherry on the head to stop her from pouting. Alright. Now I can finally begin. Issei laid out all of the Excalibur fragments in no particular order. He then looked at them in awe for a while before finally starting the process. Merge. Once Issei chanted merge, the Excalibur fragments all began to spin in their place. Soon after that, they all began to glow. Wow. So cool. Cherry stared at the swords as they began to merge together. It didn't take long for all the swords to merge together. Once all the swords merged together, the glow began to dim itself down. The sword also came spinning down towards Issei. The true Excalibur. Here it is. In my grasp. Issei picked up the sword. Wow. To the average person this would be super heavy to wield. But to me, this feels like light work. Issei commented on the weight of the sword. This is cool. The true Excalibur does what every sword fragment does. But now it's going to do even more. Issei grinned as he looked at the sword. He then looked Cherry and Urei. Hey, Cherry and Urei. Can you two combine please? Issei requested Urei and Cherry to combine their forms. Issei was going to need it in order to be able to combine them both with the Excalibur. Lord Issei. Urei and Cherry are scared. Urei and Cherry don't know what's going to Urei and Cherry. Urei said scared. Yeah. We don't know what's going to happen to us. Are we going to disappear? Cherry said, beginning to tear up. She wiped her eye before speaking again. Will we still get to see Yo? Cherry was interrupted by Issei as he hugged them all of a sudden. Don't say such things. Of course you'll still get to see me. And I'll still get to see you. The only thing that'll be happening is that you'll be able to turn into swords. That's it. You'll still be able to transform into humans. Issei explained, wiping Cherry's tears off of her face. And stop crying. Both of you. That's not cute at all. Issei smiled. I love you both to death. Issei hugged them even tighter. Issei continued to smile as he them both. Okay. We all good? Cherry and Urei nodded in unison. Alright. Now combine yourselves. Issei commanded them what to do. Yes, Lord Issei. Cherry and Urei both began to glow. The glow eventually took over Issei's entire eyesight. All he could see was a super bright glow. But the Issei covered his eyes in order to stop himself from going blind. After a few seconds. The light ceased and calmed down. Issei removed his hands from his eyes to see that there was an orb. A magic orb that would fly around whenever Issei tried to approach it. Issei eventually caught it after a good while of chasing it. Come on, you two. You're making this harder than it needs to be. It'll be over soon. Issei promised as he hugged the orb knowing it was two people who grew very close to him. Alright. Here we go. Issei threw the magic orb up into the air and it began to spin, as did the Excalibur when Issei threw it into the air too. The orb and the sword combined and then began to spin really fast. It then started to flash a lot of colored light at Issei. So Issei, again had to cover his eyes to stop himself from going blind. Eventually, it died down. And then two Excaliburs landed in each of Issei's hands. Alright. Yes. It worked. Not to try them out. The void began to simulate a city. Issei then looked at both of the swords and smiled. Let's fuck some shit up. Issei said as he prepared his first attack. Earthquake. Issei yelled as he smashed the Excaliburs onto the ground. The ground began to crack as the buildings came crumbling down. Issei now had a smile on his face. This was amazing for him. I take it these things heal too. Issei tried to heal a citizen that was right beside him. Issei swung his sword against the person's body and it instantly healed them. Why you saved me? Thank you so Mew. Their apology was stopped by Issei cutting his head off. Blood soon followed. Yeah. I guess if I want to cut someone clean, these things will do the job. Totally worth it, Issei talked to himself. Issei then started going on a rampage. He turned himself invisible and then began slaughtering everyone. Issei also tried to use magic with the Excaliburs. Which worked. Issei was now holding an Excalibur enveloped in fire in his right hand and the Excalibur frozen in ice in his left hand. Yes. Issei spent the next few minutes just slaughtering more people. The Excalibur that was enveloped in fire would burn the targets, granting them instant death when hit. And the Excalibur frozen in ice would freeze someone when hit. Depending on whether Issei wanted his opponent to die, he would be able to make that happen. After a few minutes, Issei eventually stopped slaughtering people. The void returned to normal. Issei was panting and was all sweaty. So sweaty that his body started to shine. Well, that was fun. Yurei and Cherry, return to me. Issei commanded. Both of the swords began to transform after Issei's commands. The swords spun around until they turned back into humans. Lord Issei. Cherry yelled as she hugged Issei as she could. Yurei would follow up, doing the same, but without saying anything. You can both relax. I'm here. And I don't plan on going anywhere. Issei assured them of his safety. Speaking of safety. Wait, where's Irina? Issei wondered. Issei then felt something in the hood of his cloak once again. Oh, come on. You're always worrying me, you know. Creation Issei created a little pouch for Irina like he did with the Excalibur fragments. There. You'll be my support animal from now on. Issei kept Irina in that pouch. It's like a way of always keeping an eye on Irina for Issei. You're always worrying me. What if you go missing Irina? You know how bad I would feel. Issei spoke to Irina who was asleep. Issei sighed as his words fell on deaf ears. But enough about me. What the hell happened to you two? You're wearing my cloaks and everything. Issei pointed out. Yeah, Lord Issei. I don't know what happened, but we now look kind of like you. Do you hate it? Cherry asked. No. Obviously I don't hate it. In fact, I love it. You both look cute and cool. Issei commented on their new outfit. Thank you Lord Issei. Yurei thanked. Well, I'm tired. I say we go to the gym. Issei suggested. What's the gym? Cherry and Yurei curiously asked. Issei grinned and said to himself. This'll be fun Issei thought. Cool gym, Issei's POV. I walked into the gym with my regular clothes on while carrying Cherry and Yurei on my shoulders. The way this gym worked is that it was a community gym. All you had to do was sign in, and that was it. I remembered what my dad said about being as big as me and scaring a lot of people. I almost scared everyone I ran into today just trying to get here. Being 8 feet 4 inches is not fun. I told my parents to watch Irina as she would most likely be getting in the way and I'd hate for something to happen to her. Almost immediately when I got to the sign-in area, the receptionist got scared of me. That was expected. Hi. Me and these ladies would like to use the gym please. The receptionist lady looked at me up and down. I bet she was thinking you're already so strong. What do you need to use the gym for? But she didn't ask any questions. Why yeah. You three just need to sign here. So we did. And that was that. We were let in. We obviously went to the change rooms. I used my magic to get them some gym clothes based on their measurements. They both went to the women's changes room and I went to the men's change room. I had to make my own clothes since I didn't know a store that sold clothes my size. But nonetheless, I didn't complain. I finished putting on my stuff and walked out of the change room. As I walked out, I could see that the gym clothes I gave to Cherry and Yurei fitted them perfectly. Wow, Issei. You look so strong. Cherry commented on the way my gym clothes made me look. I told them to start calling me Issei because while it was nice that they respected me so much, I just don't like formalities. Yurei agrees. Yurei agreed with her twin. I now picked both of them up, put both of them on my shoulders, and carried them both to the gym room. I had to duck my head when I opened the door because the door goes up to 7 feet. Once I walked in, I saw about 50 people. It was kind of intimidating. But what made even more intimidating is that when us three walked in, everybody stopped what they were doing just to get a look at me. I guess being this tall isn't the best thing. There was pure silence. Everybody just wanted to look at me. So I did what every introvert didn't want to do and spoke up about it. "What the hell are you guys looking at?" I yelled. Usually I am a calm guy. But I hate being looked at by tons of people. Everybody got the message and got back to their workouts. I carried us over to the weights area and began lifting the heaviest weights there were. They were all light work to me. Light work. Everybody seemed shocked at what I said. Everybody was looking my way again. This time, I didn't yell. I just decided to deal with it. "Hey, Yurei, Cherry. Can you spot me?" I asked them. "Sure." Yurei responded without energy as usual. "Got it." Cherry was more upbeat about it. I got to the bench press area and decided to put 300-pound weights on each side. Those were the heaviest weights that were there. "Alright, this should be a decent challenge," I accidentally said out loud. Everybody was now gathering around us. I tried not to mind it. "Alright. Let's go." Issei began pumping the bench presser all the way to his chest and back up with ease. Everybody was really impressed with how strong I was. I kept going with everyone staring at me for about 4 hours. It wasn't that I was tired, it was that all these people just had weird expressions on their faces and it was weirding me out. After I finished, everybody just began to scream, run around and freak out. "Issei. What's going on?" Yurei asked emotionlessly. "I don't know, Yurei. But now you'll understand why I hate going into public," I responded. All of a sudden, the receptionist and some other guy who looked really rich came into the gym room. "What is going on here? Why is there so much noise?" the rich guy asked. The people at the gym started to whisper in his ear something. But when they were done, the rich guy's eyes widened. I didn't know what the hell was happening. "Congratulations. You have been the first to ever do the daredevil." The rich guy congratulated me. "Daredevil?" I asked. "You were able to lift all those weights and not break a sweat. As your prize for being the first to do the daredevil," he pulled out a briefcase. "You'll receive $500,000 in cash." Once he said that, my jaw dropped. $500,000, that's so much money. All because we just wanted to work out. I mean, I'll take it. "Thank you so much," I said, trying to sound thankful. "You're welcome and have good day." Once the rich guy and the receptionist left, everybody gave me and the girls dirty looks. I don't mind people giving me dirty looks, but where I draw the line is when someone else receives a dirty look. That I don't tolerate. If any of you try anything with them, I swear to God, I'll break each and every one of your fucking necks. Got that? I said with malice in my voice to show I was serious. Everybody got the message and got back to doing what they're doing. Me and the girls continued to stay at the gym for about 2 hours. Until I decided that I've had enough dirty looks for a day. We then left at around 6 o'clock. "Gotta say, you two are really getting into shape," I said, praising them for their hard work. "Thanks, Isay. Now, what are you going to do with all that money?" Cherry asked. "Oh yeah. I plan to take you guys shopping, let you guys get what you want, get a couple things for myself, and give some to my parents. Since they deserve it. And I don't know what I'll do with the rest," I explained. "Wait, really, thank you so much, Isay." Cherry hugged me really tight. Yurei didn't show it, but I could tell she was happy too. I felt like a boyfriend letting his girlfriend, or friends in this case, go on a wild little shopping spree. This'll be fun. The mall. We used magic to get to the mall since we didn't have time to walk, and I decided to carry them on my shoulders again, since I like doing that. And just like the gym, I got people staring at me everywhere I go. This height seemed to do me more bad than good. Plus I'm carrying a suspicious looking briefcase that could have anything in it. I decided to take them to the electronics store first. We're going to be living here a lot and me being able to communicate with them through today's technology is important. So we walked into the store. They had everything. Phones, headphones, phone chargers, almost everything you'd expect an electronics store to have. And obviously the stares didn't go away as much as I wanted them to. I put Yurei and Cherry down and let them explore the store. "Can you get me and those two the newest phone you got?" I asked politely. The employee said he'll go get their newest phones. As I sat and waited for a while, I felt a tug on my shirt. I looked to see who it was. It was Yurei. She was pointing at something. I followed her to see what it was and she led me to a case. Turns out there were these purple headphones that she wanted. "You want them?" I asked. Yurei nodded yes. I checked the headphones and it said they were high quality. They were a high price for the average person. So they better be worth it. Excuse me. Can I have these headphones in purple please? I asked the employee. I guess Yurei started to hug me as a way to say thanks. I gave her another pat on her head. As I did, Cherry ran up to me and pointed at something she wanted. She also wanted headphones, but in a pink variant. I ended up getting myself some red headphones, as I like the color red. I waited at the counter for our phones to get here and the employee came back out with 3 phones. I then needed to get a data and phone plan for all of us. Get us an unlimited data plan please. I requested. They were able to get it done surprisingly quick. Okay, so what's the total for everything? I asked. Alright, your total is $3,450. The employee told me. That's it. Okay, I will be paying in cash, thank you. I handed the employee the amount needed for everything and then we left the electronics store. Up next was the clothing store. Wow. There are so much clothes. Cherry exclaimed. You guys go find the clothes you want. There are no limits. Go crazy. I told them as I put them down. Cherry ran into the store like a kid while Yurei walked over to the sweaters section of the store. After a few hours, we all met up and had our clothes in hand. Cherry had a bunch of clothes while Yurei just had sweaters and sweatpants. I just carried various other clothes. We carried them to the checkout area and paid for them. We then left with our stuff. I love these clothes. And this phone. It's so cool. Cherry jumped up and down like a kid. Headphones. Was the only word the Yurei said. She appeared to really like the headphones. Nobody said anything for most of the trip back home. We finally got back home after the long day. Alright. Yurei. Let's get back into weapon form. Cherry told Yurei. No. I said. I wanted to introduce them to my parents. I opened the door to see my mom and dad watching the TV. Hey, mom, dad, what are you watch? My eyes dropped as I saw what they were watching. It was me at the gym when I was lifting those weights. I know right, Issei. I've never seen someone so strong in my life. And he got $300,000 for being the first to do the daredevil. Goro told me. No, I keep telling you it was $500,000. Gosh. Mickey yelled at her husband. Once they finished arguing, they looked my way. They very quickly noticed that I was the guy on the television. Wait Issei. Is that you? Goro asked with shock. Hell yeah, that's me. I said frustrated. We just wanted to go to the gym. Those guys wouldn't leave us alone. I continued. So tell us, son. How much did you get? And you said we. What do you mean? Goro asked grinning at his wife, thinking he was going to be right about the money. I got $500,000. And I said we because I was with these two. By the way, here's $200,000. Thank you taking care of me. And Irina too. I gave them a hug as I placed the money on the table. Mom, Dad. The one on the right is Yurei, the one on the left is Cherry. I introduced them to each other. Oh, hello then, Yurei-chan, Cherry-chan. Mickey extended her hand towards her. Hi. Yurei said as she shook her hand. Hello, Issei's mom. Cherry shook her hand very intensely. What are you two to my son? Goro asked. Come on, Dad. Don't do that to them. I told him. They're both my girlfriends. I said to both of my parents. Yurei seemed unfazed by what I said while Cherry was the exact opposite. Cherry fainted right then and there while Yurei dropped her bag full of clothes on the floor, walked up to me and hugged me in front of my parents. I love you. She gave me a kiss on my cheek afterwards. I was kind of shocked but not really. I knew how Yurei liked to show affection to me. She didn't like to speak much, but that's one of the things I liked about her. Plus, she usually talks in third person. I love you too. I said back. Those guys at the gym wouldn't leave us alone. So I took them shopping and let them get whatever they want. I explained to my parents. Mickey sighed. I miss the days where you would take me shopping, darling. Mickey tried to argue with Goro. Come on. No arguing. Especially when you have a vacation to go on. When I said that, they just froze up. DV vacation? Mickey stuttered. We haven't had one since we had you, Issei. This is Goro began to sniffle and tear up. Relax. You guys deserve it. Take a few months off. I told them. As for where you two are going, that's up to you. All that matters is that you have fun. I said to them. Now for where you two will be sleeping. I looked at Cherry and Yurei. You'll be sleeping in the same bed as me. I said to them. I left my mom and dad in the living room. I took the girls up to what was my room. I then threw them to my bed. Cherry shouted. Let's make this room bigger. I snapped my fingers and now my room was noticeably bigger. Wow. It's so big now. Yurei said, not sounding excited as usual. Now let's organize all of your stuff. I began to take out their clothes starting with Cherry's. I looked inside their bags as I began. The first I pulled out was a piece of lingerie. Ahhh. Don't look at that. I chuckled at Cherry, who tried to hide the embarrassment on her face. I was hoping you wouldn't see that. A woman at the store told to buy saying guys like lingerie. Cherry explained while wiggling her hips around. I sighed. Man. What am I going to do with you two? Issei asked himself. Issei, what does Issei think? Yurei asked. All Yurei was wearing was a sweater and some home sweatpants that she bought. Shit. That's a whole mood. I complimented. Very cute, Yurei. Yurei smiled and sat next to me. She rested her head on my shoulder and went to sleep. Which I thought was adorable. I want to rest with you guys, too. Cherry hopped into the bed and rested her head on my other shoulder. Cherry eventually fell asleep as Yurei did. I promise I'll protect you both no matter what. I said as I drifted off to sleep with them beside me. How's Brigade's location? So, you all met him? Office asked. Yeah, it was terrifying. He was so tall and his voice was so deep. And the aura, he could have been with us the entire time hearing about our plans. Valerie described. And what did he want with you? Office asked another question. Nothing really. He just took Arthur's Excalibur ruler, messed with us a little and left. Valerie told her and everybody else that was there. Messed with you? Office asked intrigued. Yeah. It was hilarious. He was able to remove her and Kuroka's clothes without them even not. Biku was interrupted with a punch to the back of the head. Shut your mouth, you stupid monkey. Valerie was fumed at Biku's way of explaining it. But, yeah. That's what happened. Including the C clothes thing. He also mentioned that his NN name was Issei Hyoudou. Valerie struggled to get out because of the embarrassment. May I add that he also complimented you saying you had a nice rack of brie. Biku's head was shoved even more into the ground by Valerie's foot. Everybody that was at the meeting just started laughing after that point. Valerie felt embarrassment like no other after that. Issei Hyoudou. So did he initiate a battle? Office asked. No. But if he did, I know how we would win. Kuroka said seductively while licking her lips. I bet he has something nice down there. Kuroka mentioned. I should also add that if he did want to kill us, he could just snap his fingers like he did in heaven. Arthur mentioned. Heaven? What happened up there? Office asked. LeFay, if you will. LeFay pulled out camera. Everybody began to gather around. LeFay clicked the play button on that was on the camera. The video shows Issei flying through heaven being unseen by none of the front lines. Issei then snapped his fingers and killed more than half of the front lines. The video ends with him zooming up into the distance with almost all of the remaining angels from the front lines chasing him. Everyone was blown away by the video. People started to scream in fear of what just happened. Some were grossed out while others looked away. What were you doing in heaven, LeFay? Office questioned. I caught sight of him going into heaven and going beyond heaven's gates. This video is all I was able to capture without being seen by the front line. I went to our base to tell everyone what I saw, but he was already there. Luckily he didn't recognize me when me and Arthur walked through the door. LeFay explained. So much power. Office commented. That'll be all for this meeting. Everybody left the meeting room except for Office. Issei Hyoudou. I promise you'll become mine. You will aid me with my mission to kill Great Red. Office monologued. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.